Good morning, everybody, and a warm welcome to TalkSport's coverage of the second Test match from Chennai. India and England, of course, and England won up in the series, a victory by 277 runs in the first Test. So convincing, so clinical, and so impressive, particularly from Joe Root, playing his 100th Test match, who, of course, went on to make a double 140 in the second innings, take a couple of good catches, and lead his side to a famous victory. Now, being 1-0 up in India is a terrific performance, but what you don't want to do is give a game back immediately, and one of the problems with that is the toss, because what we've heard about on this pitch is that you need to win the toss. It's going to crack up, be very hard to bat as the game goes on. So it does seem, one hates to say it, but it does seem as if the toss is crucial. It's already happened. Let's wind the clock back and find out what did happen.
It's a good wicket. I think day one is going to be pretty good for batting, and we expect the pitch to slow down and roughen up drastically from day two onwards. So yeah, it's a good toss to win for us to get in as batsmen and put big runs on the board.
After the first Test match, you had a few concerns. Have you got the time enough to address them?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's a reason why we played the combination in the last game, because Akshar was injured. Unfortunately, Washington, even having done well, he misses out. Kuldeep Yadav replaces him. Shahbaz Nadeem makes way for Akshar. He brings in batting also to the team. And Jasprit Bumrah has been rested for this game. We need to manage workloads as well, understanding how much cricket we're going to play in the next few months. And we need to have our players fit and ready and not take them to the brink of breaking down. So yeah, Mohammad Siraj comes in and he brings in a good variety for us on this kind of pitch with his angles and attacking the stumps and the reverse swing coming into play.
In the last 10 years, England have beaten you 3 times at home. Is that something which you think about? Because they've been formidable opponents to India, especially they've come here.
Well, look, it's not that we haven't beaten them in England. So, it's international cricket. At the end of the day, you shouldn't get shocked or surprised when you get beaten at home. Every team is good. It's important to understand and put things into right perspective. And we need to know that, if we play good enough cricket for longer periods of time, then we are a strong side anywhere in the world. So, if we can play well away from home, we can definitely play well in our own conditions. But it boils down to mindset. You just can't arrive at home and say, yes, the teams are going to bundle out just because we are strong at home. Everyone wants to win everywhere. And that's the kind of competitive Test cricket we're playing today. And it's exciting to be a part of it. So we need to put things in perspective, have the right mindset and execute our plans.
Thanks for your time, Virat, and best of luck for this Test match.
Cheers, thank you.
Joe, you lost the toss, just 3 wickets this side, 3 days apart. What do you make of it, and would you have wanted to bat first as well?
Yeah, we'd have definitely batted first as well. But it's an opportunity for us to get in the game early, try and take some early wickets, try and get ahead of things. And we've got a very exciting attack that's fresh, ready to go, and full of energy. So hopefully we can make some inroads this morning.
You've made those 4 changes and you called that team pretty early. Any reasons behind those changes, if you can tell us?
Yeah, I mean, as we mentioned with Jimmy, we're looking to make sure that we get as much cricket out of him as possible. With the last 2 games there, it gives him the best chance of being ready for that. And just coming into this surface, we're just trying to find the attack that we think balances best to try and take 20 wickets and feel that we're definitely in a position to do that with these guys.
Right, so you've heard it. India have won the toss and will bat first. Their team, Rohit Sharma, Shubman Gill, Cheteshwar Pujara, Virat Kohli, Ajinkya Rahane, Rishabh Pant, Akshar Patel, making his debut, R. Ashwin, Kuldeep Yadav, Ishant Sharma, Mohammad Siraj, who's not to be treated lightly, did very well in Australia. New face to Indian cricket, and a very good one. Then for England, Rory Burns, Dom Sibley, Dan Lawrence, Joe Root, Ben Stokes, Ollie Pope, Ben Foakes, Moeen Ali, Stuart Broad, Ollie Stone and Jack Leach. So 4 changes for England, 3 for India. Darren Gough is with me. Gough, we're both taken aback by England's selection. I think that's the first thing, isn't it? We're surprised Anderson isn't playing. We're perhaps more surprised now that we kind of knew Anderson wouldn't play because of the rest and rotation policy. But we're surprised that Ollie Stone has got the nod ahead of Chris Woakes.
Yeah, but when it comes down to it, when we're talking about rotation with this England team, I think it was always a plan moving forward before the Ashes, and probably when the Ashes comes if everyone's fit. But Wood and Archer will be rotated at times rather than playing back to back, and it seems to think when we're away from home it's the same that's going to happen with Anderson and Broad. So we've seen that decision. I mean, I think we would have gone, both of us would have gone Anderson and Broad, wouldn't we? I mean, with the rank 2 and 3 in the world, you get them in your side, surely, no matter what the conditions are. But this rotation policy is kicking in, and let's see how successful it is.
Well, just to explain why we'd have gone both Anderson and Broad, particularly for this match. Firstly, to back up Anderson's superb form. It's not as if he's had any cricket for a long while of the first Test. That's the sort of obvious reason. The less obvious reason is that to go 2-0 up in India in a 4-test series, well, it's pretty obvious what it does. It firstly makes you unbeatable, and secondly, it sets up a real opportunity not just to win the series, but to get a place in the World Test Championship final at Lord's in the English summer against New Zealand, which would be a great thing to do at the first opportunity. And so we're surprised that England, just as a one-off, haven't taken that opportunity. The other change I'd like to talk about is Moeen Ali being brought back into the side. He hasn't played a test match for 16 months. He's obviously been in very good form in practice.
Yeah, I think Moeen Ali coming in, last time he was in the side, I think he had a fantastic record. He averaged mid-20s with a ball. So there's no surprise from that. I think he's been out so long is the only surprise. And done best, let's be honest about it. He hasn't been at his real best in these 3 tests, although he's picked up wickets. And it's always difficult when the spinner is picking up wickets to leave him out. But England have gone for Ali. He's supposed to strengthen.
Matt Pryor is also joining our commentary team for this match. It's great to have Matt back on board, and he'll be on the second session with Neil Manthorpe, and Akash Chopra will be there too from India, who in Chennai. But the back 5 only retains Jack Leach. So Ben Foakes, Moeen Ali, Stuart Broad and Ollie Stone come into the side. For India, 3 changes, Goffey. I think we were all expecting Akshar Patel, who's a sort of like for like with Ravindra Jadeja, to play. Well, he's fit and he does play in his first test. It's a big ask of a young man, to so much expectation on him. They're keen to rush him into the side. Kuldeep Yadav, the left arm wrist spinner, Mohammad Shiraz all come in as well. So all the changes for both sides down the bottom, in other words, the bowling part of the team.
Yeah, Mohammad Shiraz coming in. I think he was excellent in Australia, by the way, so he gets his opportunity. I think within a 3-man attack he would be in, especially with Sharma out injured for a while. So I think for Mohammad Shiraz to come into the side, it's a fantastic ball. He's only played 3 tests, 31 wickets, just under 30. And this will be a big test for him, playing against England. India 1-0 down, and it'll be interesting. I think Ishan Sharma, we showed his experience that last test match, bowled very tidily, didn't give many runs away, and picked up a few wickets at the end of the test match. So they were an handful, weren't they, Sharma and Bumrah, in that first test?
Yeah, it's a sign of the age in which we live, and how quickly it's changed just in the last couple of years, really. That there's so much cricket and in all formats of the game around the world, that we come to a test match between India and England, an absolutely key one. And the 2 best bowlers on either side aren't playing. The 2 best seamers, Jasprit Bumrah and James Anderson. I find it fascinating, and as I say, it reflects the times.
I think it does reflect the times, and I think there's going to be a lot of cricket, isn't there? You can remember India are going to tour England as well after this. But I just think this is such a big series, Mark. You touched on it there. There's the World Test Championship. We know New Zealand are in that final. England and India are fighting it out really for that other place. Australia got an outside chance, but it's basically between India and England. Well, England got off to an absolute flyover in that first test, and back to back, I just thought Anderson didn't bowl that many overs. I think Broad coming in is ranked 2 in the world, has to come in. Those 2 together for me, and then you've got the spin of Moeen Ali and Jack Leach. But they've made the changes. It looks like they're going to stick to this rotation system. We could even have more changes in the starting 11 for the 3rd test, come the day-night game. So it's very interesting times, and it's hard to predict who's going to play. But I did think Stone were going to play, purely because I know the rotation system and how it works.
Yeah, well, they want like for like, and so they've got that little bracket of Archer, Wood and Stone, and they've gone with Stone rather than drift towards Woakes, who would have been my choice for this. I'm actually going to bring Matt Pryor in, so I wonder if our producer could turn him up, because having seen that England side, I just saw that smiling face of Ben Foakes, and so we've got 5 minutes till play begins. Matty, welcome. Good to see you.
Yeah, morning. Thanks.
What time were you up?
It was 1 o'clock wake up, 1:30 car.
And you were here too early, eager beaver.
I was here very early, yes.
The enthusiasm of youth, eh?
Can't wait to get stuck in.
So just before we come to the wider picture, Ben Foakes this morning. He makes his debut in Sri Lanka 2 years ago, plays particularly well, expects a run in the side, has a couple of ordinary tests, not bad tests, ordinary tests, that's all. Is perceived to be the best wicketkeeper going around. He's probably pretty tense this morning, isn't he?
Yeah, you'd think so, wouldn't you? I I think he's trying to sort of play it down a little bit, hearing what he's saying about he's accepted that Josh Butler's number one and he's coming in, but he wants to just grab his chance. So there's two ways to look at it. One, yes, he could be very nervous, or the other way is actually he wasn't expecting a chance. He's got a chance and he's almost got a free hit at it, and can go. And I hope that's the mentality he's going to take. Is right. I'm just going to go back myself, play the game I can. Here's the opportunity I've got, and take all the pressure off himself. Now, that's far easier said than done.
You've played cricket in India. We can pick up on television a look at the pitch, but you can describe to our viewers, it's got mosaic cracks. You can describe to our viewers what you would expect it to do, since you've played cricket in India more recently than Goffey or I.
Yeah, well, I would expect, just off the back of the last result in Test match, England winning, you would think, right, there's no doubt we're turning up to a pitch that's going to spin from ball one, and that's exactly what that. Looking at that wicket with the cracks, with the, as you say, the mosaic sort of look at it looks dry. You'd expect it to turn early. Look, first ever Test match, of course. Batting this morning, I think, will be at its best against the new ball, and as soon as the sort of shine goes, I'd expect to see England looking to get the ball reversing as quickly as possible, and the spinners will have a big job to play.
Goffey, nobody started a Test match with more enthusiasm or confidence, belief, positive attitude than you. How bad hit is it for the dressing room to have lost this toss? Is it a downer?
Well, I don't think it is, purely because they've won the first Test match, so they're all feeling great about themselves and the performance from England. And also, you've got freshness in the bowling attack. You've got Stuart Broad out to prove a point. Yet again, he keeps having to do this. He's ranked 2 in the world and just missed 2 Test matches. The last one in Sri Lanka and the first one in India. So I think he's going to have a bounce in his step, and he'll be desperate to start well. And then Ollie Stone, playing Ollie's second Test match. We know what he's about. He has picked up quite a few injuries over the past few years, but when he gets it right, he can be an handful and he can be quick. So I think you've got serious enthusiasm and freshness in that England bowling attack.
You can hear in the background the sound, the crowd noises. Now, in the previous Test, that was curated audio, pre-recorded stuff, dropped onto the top of the television and radio productions. Today, folks, it's real, because there's 15,000 people in the stadium. So much excitement in COVID times to be able to get back into a cricket stadium in India. Almost a revered place, a place pretty much of church regards Indian people, and they're very excited to be there. Only 15,000 in a stadium that seats 45, so about a third full, but still a great thing for sport in general, actually, to see people in the stadium, and we do pray that stays the case for the match. We've seen at the Australian Open tennis how, unfortunately, for 5 days now there's going to be a lockdown in Melbourne, so there won't be spectators in the stadium after last night for the next 5 days. The other thing is whether that fires up India more than it fires up in England, and I would think it does. And England need to bowl very well with this new ball, Goffey, because we got 2 stroke makers, real stroke makers out there, in Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill.
This is the first time England have played in front of a crowd for a while, a long time, isn't it? I think India had decent crowds in Australia, but for England, again, it adds to the atmosphere, puts certain pressures on certain players in certain situations of a game. But as I said, there's going to be a huge excitement about some of these England boys. They've been sat in their hotel, desperate to get a game, and we're going to start with Stuart Broad, who's a fantastic performer, and he's had the last year and a half, 2 years, he's been at his real best. Well,
we're going to start with Darren Gough and Gareth Batty. Gareth, good morning.
Coffee and all the listeners.
Very good to see you. We'll be chatting of so much to ask you, but we'll come to that in a minute. England hard on the attack for Stuart Broad with 4 slips and a gully. That's pretty unusual. Backward point, actually, not orthodox gully. But that's a very strong message from Joe Root to go with a mid-off. So the 6 on the offside, then mid-on, mid-wicket and long leg. Big gap between backward point and mid-off. If Broad is going to bowl a line just outside off stump, we'll see. Rohit Sharma, of course, always keen to play his shots. Had, by his standards, an ordinary first Test, so he'll be keen to impose himself on the match. We're ready to go. The second Test match in Chennai. England 1 up in the series. India have won the toss. They bat first. Here comes Stuart Broad pounding in and is back of a length. And it's immediately off the full face of the bat, but because of the bounce, goes behind point on the offside, and there's no run from that. And Gareth, the excitement of the first morning of a Test match never dies.
Oh, you can hear it in the background, and actually you can you can hear it in the studio here. Everybody's excited. We've all got up early. We're desperate to see how this series is evolving. Second Test match now with a few people in, up to 15,000. You could see Broad there, knees up to his chest. He's charging, and he's relishing this.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. Welcome to our TalkSport viewers who were with us on TalkSport 2. You're with us for the next 2 hours. Broad again. Nice and straight, and Rohit Sharma's looking to work that leg side, but misses it, and it thuds into his thigh pad, that brand new ball that England know they have to use well. It's a great skill, I think, to understand that pressure. You have to use the new ball well, but not to try too hard. You have to let the shoulders loosen, and you have to flow as a bowler so that it's all a natural rhythm rather than a forced rhythm.
And I think this is the only time in the game, probably, unless there's massive collapses, where we're going to see 4 slips in. If there's going to be any carry whatsoever or any movement, it's going to be that first morning. And Stuart started with an attacking field, which is good to see. They've lost the toss, England. They need to get early wickets. And Joe Root's giving him an attacking field.
Here he comes again, and it's almost a carbon copy of the ball before. Just nips back an iota, and Broad lifts his arm as if for a moment to say, but no, I didn't get you after all, as it hit that thigh pad. Broad coming in with beautiful rhythm. He's got his run up spot on, just a little tighter his run up, and his whole bowling action a little tighter, and already getting the ball to come back a bit, Gareth.
Yeah, it's the first ball of the innings just had a little bit of outswing for me, and then the next 2 is challenging Rohit Sharma's defence. He's looking to hit the top of off just a fraction straighter with that little bit of angle in. But a good start from Broad.
Broad's hair is chopped short. He has a white headband on. He bowls now. A lovely line at off stump, pushed into the mid-off, wide mid-off area by Rohit Sharma. That's the line. That uncertainty, that corridor, as Geoffrey Boycott called it all those years ago. Sir Geoffrey Boycott, indeed, all those years ago. And Broad is looking, well, he looks full of energy. He's had his hair chopped shorter. He's unshaven. The white headband gives him a sort of a touch of a gladiatorial look, maybe the Bandido look, and he leads an England attack today that is much changed from the first Test match here. But this very emerald-looking outfield is almost shining for the players this morning in Chennai. Broad again, he bowls a very full ball, almost at Yorker length, and Mohit just drops the bat on it, runs it out to mid-off. This is a good start from Broad. Yeah,
he's become attached to that headband, hasn't he? It brought him a bit of luck with his performance over the English summer. A great seam position, coming out with his hand nicely, Stuart Broad, just mainly trying to slant it into Rohit Sharma, who was under a bit of pressure. He didn't play too well in that first test, got starts, but obviously dismissed by a great delivery in that first innings from Jofra Archer. So Stuart Broad, as expected, started well, tightly, good lines, good lengths, attacking slips in place, wants to get into the game early.
Here he comes again, reaches the crease now, left alone by Rohit Sharma, and England start with a maiden over. 5 out of 6 balls had to be played at, and Broad will be pleased with that. So too Joe Root, and actually so too Rohit Sharma. Gareth, let's we didn't have you at the beginning, but let's talk a bit about the swap, Dom Bess, Moeen Ali.
It's an interesting one. I mean, we were talking first Test match who we would go with the spinners, and it would have been extremely harsh on Dom Bess, but I would have started the series with Moeen Ali. Experience, and he gives you the batting lineup, and I think he's England's best spinner. I truly believe that. I feel it sends a weird message that now he comes into the team. Why didn't he start? But at the end of the day, we've got our best spinner in, who does give us a batting option.
Would it have been because he'd been in his hotel for 2.5 weeks with COVID? Would that they just didn't think he was ready, match fit, and recovered from that?
There's a very, very good argument for that, Goffey. I certainly wouldn't disagree with that.
Now, Ollie Stone, what a moment for him. And he is right on it first ball. Back goes Shubman Gill. What a tidy looking player Shubman Gill is. A slim man who gets into line quickly. But that's a nice start from Ollie Stone. His second test match actually, because he played against Ireland, you'll remember, in that thrilling game at Lords. So I mean, that won't stop him having a pumping heart this morning. But anyway, he looks smart. His hair's cut short. He's also a little unshaven, as is the wont of tourists, particularly on the subcontinent. Hot day already, up in the early 30s in Chennai, and Stone is back over length, and Shubman Gill thought of driving off the back foot, which Indian players do so well, but he didn't quite time it. The ball rolled out to mid-off for no run. Still no run on the board.
What I will say about Ollie Stone, Mark, I first saw him bowl as a 15-year-old in Milton Keynes. Played against my son, and I was very impressed. He was rapid for that age. I'd heard he used to pick up quite a few injuries. I think that's carried on. He has a good yorker, a good bouncer, and when he's fit, he consistently gets the ball in the right areas, and he will cause, in all conditions, batsmen problems because he has got a good yorker.
He bowls beauty. Oh my goodness, LBW, yes! Left alone by Shubman Gill. No stroke offered. It hits him on the front pad, and he surely is LBW. Does he review it? Start of a test match, such a big moment. Does he review it? Oh, they haven't got long left now. 3 seconds. No, says Rohit Sharma. You're dead, my friend. You must go. And sure enough, England have their first wicket, and it comes from Ollie Stone. What a moment.
Whoa, what a moment for young Ollie Stone. He got the ball in the right area. That's part of the skill factor for a fast bowler when you're bowling with the new ball in these conditions. Just outside off stump. Nip back a little bit. I am surprised they've not reviewed it, but... oh, he could have been outside the line, but no shot played, though. No shot played.
That's the point.
No shot played. I think it's a good decision.
Only thing is height. That's why I'd have reviewed it. A new ball hitting you on the roll, I would have reviewed it. Anyway, they haven't. And the story here at Chennai, Shubman Gill, LBW, Ollie Stone, no score. And India yet to get off the mark, are 1 down as Chereshwar Pujara, the wall, the modern wall, the new Rahul Dravid, attaches the Velcro to his gloves, looks up at the sun, tries to get a feel for the bright light here in Chennai, twirls his arm as he walks to the middle, both right and left arm, arms plural it should be. He's wearing an arm guard on his left arm. He's the great defender of the Indian faith as he practices a few defensive strokes on his way to the middle, skips a little, jumps on his toes, makes his way towards the crease to take guard in the second test match between England and India in Chennai, and England have made an ideal start, Gareth.
Ollie Stone, wow. What about that? He'd have been dreaming about that for weeks, months, years, in fact. What a start. Beautiful. He's hit the bat hard, his first 2 balls.
Yep.
Really pushing Gill back into the crease, and then just that one where you just... Has he looked to swing it back? Is it just faded in? He's still looking to draw him outside. Whatever it is, it's that beautiful length, as you said, Goffey. Great length. Didn't really know what to do, so decided to leave it alone. Ollie Stone, he nearly jumped over the clouds. He was jumping for joy. He knew that was out.
That's the perfect length for these conditions we talk about when you go overseas, and people sometimes get drawn into banging it in short, real short of a length. Bowl to hit the stumps with the new ball, you get one of them, and have a go with it and test the batsman's technique. And that one, we saw Shubman Gill in the last test match play some absolutely beautiful shots, didn't we, in that last test? But there, Ollie Stone, spot on, outside off, just nipping back to hit off. Beautiful line, good pace, and great start for England.
And Goffey justifying all of us who said he should play.
Yeah.
Here he comes again to bowl to Chereshwar Pujara. That's a good ball too. Wow, nice and full. And Chereshwar Pujara comes forward and meets it with the full face of the bat. We saw the maker's name there. Yeah, we're now seeing the replay on TV, and it is a nice little nip backer, isn't it?
Well, perfect delivery. Just outside off stump, slipping in back onto off stump, would have hit off stump, bang on, just the top of the stump. Perfect, great delivery, big wicket for England.
Top of off, Goffey.
Yeah,
top of off. What more do you want, eh? You got your little markers on there in practice.
And again, full, straight, very good. What a start this is by England. 10 balls bowled, no run for India, 1 wicket down. Ollie Stone looking every inch an experienced test match cricketer. He's played 1 test against Ireland and he's already struck for England. And it was a big question mark whether he should play. I was just jesting there for people turning up. I mean, we all thought that, or I think all, certainly Goffey and I, felt that if it wasn't to be Anderson, it should be Wokes. It was a nice like-to-like swap there, but no, it isn't. It's Ollie Stone. Here he comes. He's the like-to-like swap with Jofra Archer. That's why he's playing. That ball's back of a length and left alone. Outside, off stump, it flies through to Ben Foakes behind the stumps. Two new faces, having a nice start to the second Test match.
Worked up some good pace as well there, looking at Ollie Stone. He looks to be getting through the crease nicely. Doesn't seem to be any nerves, Goffey.
No, we saw that in the one-day international debut he made. We were working on that game. He was rapid, didn't he, with the new ball. Like I said, he's not overawed by the situation. He'll ball the same way as he's been bowling in county cricket. He's quick. They put him in that group with Anderson, Wood and Stone. They're really impressed with the pace these three bowl. They offer something different. You look at them, all three of them can bowl a good bouncer and a good Yorker, and in these conditions I think it's important that they try and get one in the side, and that's what they're continuing to do. Archer out, they brought in Stone because Wood's not available.
Broad now, oh what a stroke, overpitched by Broad by just a fraction, and typically Rohit Sharma steps into an off drive to save a glorious timing and joy for the crowd. The first runs from India are a pleasure to watch.
Wow, a craftsman at work, Rohit Sharma. Beautiful, elegance, effortless. That high left arm, minimal movement, but gets his head into the ball. He's a wonderful, wonderful player, this fella, once he gets going. England need to hold their lengths on him and put him under some pressure, because he is an absolute craftsman, master craftsman at work.
That was sort of stroke. The best players to watch players. Broad bangs this one into the surface, and Sharma is back and works it just behind square on the leg side. He gets a single for it, which brings Pujara onto strike. Yeah, Rohit, who does he remind me of with that shot? Mahela Jayawardene perhaps, Babar Azam, that sort of a player. Cheteshwar Pujara has such a good record. Oh, he does. He's averaging 47 and a half. And as I said, he's just a rock around which India build their batting. 5 for 1 the score, Goffey.
Yeah, it's pretty good, isn't he? I mean, he's such a big wicket, you could tell. I mean, the credit from the Australian seam attacker that they've given Pujara since they've left the country. They were huge fans of him, saying how late he plays the ball and it's very difficult to work him out. So they're going to put a lot of research in how to dismiss him in the next time they come against each other. And it's the same with England. They've got to get him early. He is the rock.
Pujara waits and goes forward. Broad bowls a beauty at off stump, length, line, everything. Maybe a hint of movement, and Pujara covers it, but with a slightly open blade. The ball might have just held its line. That's terrific in every way from Broad. Following through well at the target. Looks good.
But the thing is for England here, with attacking with this new ball, if they can get a couple of wickets here, because Rayani as well, who's coming into the side, is coming on the back of not decent. I'm under a bit of pressure from that last Test match. He didn't play so well and got 2 early dismissals.
Well, they're exceptional players at the top of the Indian order. I mean, Pujara and Kohli, that's nicely played, very nicely played by Pujara. Just works a length ball off middle stump to mid wicket, no run for it. Yeah, Pujara, Kohli, Rahane, that's a 3, isn't it? With Rohit Sharma, they're high quality players. Full stop. The scene here is delightful, actually. I mean, it's almost like there's the rest of the crowd waiting outside. You know, that early stage of a Test match when the stands are by no means full, but there's still an atmosphere. More of a buzz, I think. Broad just examines the ball, sets his fingers on the seam, begins his approach with those long strides. Tall man, 6'6". He bowls now, and there's a nice forward defensive. This is classic stuff from Pujara. Bat and pad close together, sniffing the ball almost.
Yeah, gets his head very close to the ball so he can play it late. Definitely, it will be in England's team meeting. Get the ball fullish to Pujara. His feet don't always move as well as they can do early. If you can hold that line just outside of stump like Broad's done there with a little bit of outshape and then the odd one just nipping back in, try and wrap him on the pad, catch him on the crease early.
Yeah, and what England have done well here, in anywhere in the subcontinent, you've got to make people play at the ball, because it'll only move a fraction, and if it does, you want them playing at it, not leaving it. So England have done that extremely well so far this morning, whereas in Australia you might try to get the carry through to the keeper more. Here you're trying to ensure that the batsmen are playing ideally hard forward. Only gets an edge. Well bowled, Stuart Broad. It flies down to third man, just wide of the third slip, but that's the right thinking. Actually, England have taken the fourth slip out. I don't know that it would have carried to fourth slip, but it's a forward defensive and the ball flies off a thickish edge.
No, but Stuart Broad's mind, it would have stopped 4. And I tell you what, it kept pretty low that as well off the surface on a day 1 pitch. It was a decent length, bringing the batsman forward, but it didn't get much bounce at all. That kept very, very low, and we'll have to keep an eye on that as this session goes on.
Just touching on that, Goffey, I think it was Stuart Broad's 5th ball of his first over. There was a little bit of a puff of dust. It was a very full ball, so it was in and around those sort of footholds, but definitely we've seen a very... the pitch is a lot drier than the first Test match already. 3
overs gone, 9 for 1. Rohit Sharma has 5. Cheteshwar Pujara has 4. The man out, Shubman Gill, LBW to Ollie Stone, who bowls now, and he's firmly driven by Rohit Sharma, but he gets a hand on it, so it only goes for 1. And first time we've seen Moeen Ali today as he goes from mid-off to a slide, I suppose you call it, yeah, slide, to pick up the ball and lob it back to Ben Foakes.
Well, first of all, Ollie Stone playing football rather than using his hands. Not a good idea when you're bowling in Indian conditions at some of the top batsmen in the world, and he kicks it with his foot.
Well, he went with his hand, didn't he?
But they took his hand out of the way, yeah.
Changed his mind.
Bernard Matthews, beautiful, wasn't he?
Here he comes again. Stone now pumping in, bowls a beauty, great length, great line. It's left alone, a bit of an ooh and an ah from the England players, because if that had nipped back any more, England would have been appealing for LBW again. The wicket came, no shot offered by Shubman Gill, looking to leave the ball alone, and it just nipped back. It was probably too tight a line to leave, truth be told, and he paid the price for it. In Test match cricket, the examination is severe. Ben Stokes as ever in that slip cordon alongside Joe Root, as Ollie Stone bowls a lovely line and length again. England have not just changed the slip cordon from 4, they've moved it now that it's 2 and 1. So we've got Joe Root at first slip, Ben Stokes at second, and Rory Burns at more of a fine gully or sort of 4th or 5th slip. 5th slip probably, so it's now quite a big gap. Which I suppose they've plugged extra cover. I don't know quite why they've done that, having made the decision. No, they've got one more leg side, which tells us they're going to bowl straighter at Pujara, very straight if they can, and that is a good ball, banged into the surface, flies past Pujara's throat as he sways back from it. It's taken to nose height by Ben Foakes.
Well, what they've seen there, if we remember back to the Australia-India series, is that Pujara took a lot of short balls throughout that series, and they thought he likes to play the ball. They might just bring in that leg slip, that leg gully into play, especially on a slower pitch where the Indian batsmen like to ride the ball. They like to play it as it rises. And Ollie Stone, he can bowl lively, he can bowl very quickly. He's in the 140s at this moment in time.
Bowls a nice ball straight, and Pujara tries to work it a bit with the bottom hand and doesn't quite time it. Goes to mid-on, there's no run. Yeah, to explain that field now, I've worked it out. We've only got the television screen to go on because, of course, we're here in London on a cold and dark morning, but that's fine because it's sunny and exciting in Chennai. There is a leg gully. Thank you, Goffey, for that. So there's a leg gully, then a deep backward square leg, a mid-wicket and a mid-on, and it's the reason for picking Ollie Stone. They want one quick in the side. We now know that categorically, and they want the option to bang it into the pitch if need be. Pujara waits again, and that's left alone just outside of stump. Quite a full ball from Ollie Stone. Pujara just checks his foot position. He likes what he sees and goes to have a chat with Rohit Sharma at the end of the over. 4 gone, and it's 10 for 1.
As good a start as you will see from any opening attack in the world. Both Stone and Broad have been all over India here. Beautiful lengths, impeccable lines, both hitting the straps. Broad hitting those high 135s plus. Stone getting into the 140s. We've seen a little bit of lateral movement through the air, a little bit off the seam. England setting very, very, very aggressive fields with catchers behind the wicket, and to do that in India you've got to be bowling well. generally, even by now, you see a couple of catches in front of the wicket maybe. What a start from England.
And what you normally do from the fast bowler when he runs through and the ball doesn't quite carry to the keeper, the head can go down very quickly. But I think, as we've seen even last week on this same ground, with a new ball, the ball can carry. There's a little bit there with the new ball, and I think it's important on this first morning. England get the ball in the right areas. They've definitely done that. I think Brodie there, he's got none for 9 of his 2 overs. Quite unlucky.
Broad again, and it's a forward defensive solid from Rohit Sharma as I make way for Neil Manthorpe. Morning, Manners.
Morning, Mark. Morning, Goffey.
Morning.
It was interesting. Do you remember we were talking about the pitches, the relayed pitches at the MA Chidambaram Stadium? There were 8 strips, 4 of which were supposed to favour spinners, the red traditional Chennai wickets, and then the 4 darker bully soil clay pitches which were supposed to provide more bounce and favour the seamers. Here is Broad once more, and that's pushed away square of the wicket on the offside by Rohit Sharma. Lovely timing, and it was just a push rather than a square drive, and he picks up a couple for it. Well, this is apparently one of the darker pitches, one of the relayed ones.
But this is what they wanted for the first test, wasn't it?
Yes.
They weren't too happy with the groundsman giving them the pitch they didn't want.
Well, I'm just saying that whether you believe it or not, we'll have the evidence before our own eyes over the next however many of the 5 days it lasts. But it's apparently, supposedly, one of the pitches that isn't quite so spin friendly, or at least offers a bit more pace and bounce for the seamers, which is doesn't explain why India have picked 3 frontline spinners. India 12 for 1, winning the toss, batting first, and here comes Rohit Sharma once more to Stuart Broad, pushes it gently up towards mid-off, and there's no run.
And that ball again just looked as though it just stayed in the surface. The previous ball, Stuart Broad wouldn't have been too disappointed about how Rohit Sharma played that. No feet away from his body, opening sort of a little bit of an open face of the bat. It worked out well for him, he got his 2 through point, but Stuart Broad will be looking at that thinking, whoa, is that a jink in the armour? Can I get it through bat and pad, or can I just get that extra bit of bounce to find the outside edge and get it carrying through to the slip cordon?
Rohit Sharma and Cheteshwar Pujara, 8 and 4 respectively. Shubman Gill gone. LBW Charlie Stone for a 3rd ball, dark Broad in once more, and it's tried to leave it alone, and he didn't get the bat out of the way in time, and it's hit the bottom edge and down into the ground and then into the gloves of Ben Foakes.
Yeah, they're really testing the techniques of the Indian batsman here. That line just outside off stump, nipping back. It's a great line to bowl, especially with the new ball. They've got slips in place. There's a little bit of bounce there from Stuart Broad.
Do you reckon it looks a little bit too-paced already, Goffey? Just with those 2 balls?
I do. I actually think this pitch will turn more than the last one. That's my honest opinion. And I think Joe Root were good to not to win toss, as you would be in Indian conditions.
Wonder what a good score will be. Here is Broad once more, full and driven, and very, very handsomely driven for 4 through mid-off. He's pitching it up, seeing if there is any seam movement. Maybe some early swing, but that is swung straight off the middle of Rohit Sharma's bat for 4.
It's good to see, actually. I know he's just been driven for 4 straight back past him. Nobody likes to see that, especially when you're a fast bowler. But he's putting the ball and giving it a chance, and that's important in these conditions. You try and pick up that early wicket. We've seen the difference it made in the last Test match for England when Jofra Archer picked up a couple. So he's not going to mind getting driven for 4. He's got plenty of time to drag it back.
Here is Broad once more, and it's just a little wider outside the off stump, and it doesn't bounce much, and it's almost taken on the half volley by Ben Foakes. 5 overs gone, India winning the toss, batting first, 16 for 1.
Yeah, we get the benefit of the replay, and the replay showed Rohit there side on. He's almost hit that ball on the up a little bit.
Definitely on the
not
up.
a lot wrong with the ball from Broad, and like you say, he'll be relatively happy that he's pushing at the ball. What that does, it creates a bit of a gap between bat and pad because you're pushing out in front of your pad, but also it's putting a bit of pace on to the ball if you can find the outside edge for a nick.
Spot on, Bats. I mean, if he's playing away from his body on the up, it looks a terrific shot from here. We're all watching it on the up. hit the middle of the bat, straight back past the fast bowler. Fast bowler's frustrated. Has he overpitched? Well, he hasn't. It was a great length. It was just a great shot. And sometimes a batsman can play a good shot.
And this fella, quite often, he is a wonderful player, isn't he, Sharma?
Yeah, they're allowed to, aren't they, Goffey?
Only sometimes, not too many.
Right, Ollie Stone in for his third over. India 16 for 1. England making 4 changes, winning by 227 runs in the last test. Here is Ollie Stone again, bowls to Pujara, who plays that defensively and nudges it straight back to the bowler. Do you know,
go on.
I was going to say, the last time England won a test match and made 4 changes was in 2000. They beat the West Indies at Lord's and went to Old Trafford for the 3rd test of that series and brought in Trescothick, Hussain, Thorpe and Croft and left out Ramprakash, Knight, Hick and Hoggard. 4 changes after winning.
Oh, wow.
I think Hoggard was injured actually, but yeah, it's unusual. Here's Stone once again, full, the widest outside the off stump, left alone.
Not for Graham Hickett one. It was the most dropped England player ever, isn't he? About 30 odd times or something
Nasser
stupid.
Hussain as well came back from injury. I think he broke his finger and he came back in to the side because I played in that one. I think.
I thought you might remember.
You got some wickets, didn't you?
I don't know if I did at Old Trafford. I did in the series. Player of the series, mate. 2000 West Indies, wasn't it? I didn't play many after that, bud. That's when the injuries started. Oh, we're gone.
Here's Stone once again and pushed away out in the onside. Hits him on the thigh pad actually. He was trying to play it out in the onside and there's a loud cry of no from Rohit Sharma, who's not a massive exponent of the quick single, and the score remains on 16 for 1.
He's bowled lively here, hasn't he? On
Yes,
his own?
he has.
Good
yeah,
start,
yeah.
full of enthusiasm.
Talking of injuries,
Been sat in the bubble.
Ollie Stone, he's 27 now. I recall first seeing him in 2013, and he was playing for England under 19s, and you know he's 27 now, and he's playing his 2nd Test match. I mean, what a journey it's been for him, and the perseverance and the rehabilitation and the comebacks from so many injuries, and he hasn't lost any of his pace nor his enthusiasm. And I said that it hit Pujara on the thigh pad. I think I may have got that wrong. I think it's hit him on the hand for the zillionth time, and his hands are amongst the most battered and bruised in cricket, you'd have to say.
We saw it a lot the last Test match.
Yeah,
didn't we?
exactly.
The
You saw it a lot
amount
in
of
Australia.
Yeah, the amount of times the Indian batsman got hit on the hands on what you call a slow pitch, really. Let's be fair, it's not a rapid pitch, but they got hit a lot. He took his hand off the ball, actually, didn't he? His bottom hand, Ollie Stone, as the ball rose quite sharply at a good pace to Pujara. But you're right, Manners. I mean, let's say I first saw him when he was 14. He had exactly the same action, probably bowled exactly the same pace as he's bowling now. He was just one of those youngsters who sometimes you see them when they're 14 and 15, they have terrific pace. They get to 21 and it's all disappeared. He bowled exactly with his pace when he was a young kid.
The amazing thing there about Pujara getting struck on the hand, he's actually playing back. He's taken his right hand off the bottom of the bat because he knows he's bounced a little bit, almost to hit the bat handle. And then it still hit him on the hand as he's sort of a foot away from the bat. He's trying to like, get off me, and it still hit him on the hand.
He's punched it.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It's just, I mean, what does a physiotherapist do? I mean, he's, he was in Australia. He went out to treat him at least a dozen times in Australia for hand injuries. He did in the first test. He's back out there. Go, oh right, yeah, okay.
Do you know what our physio
You've been
would
hit
have
on the
said?
hand, have you?
Do you know what our physio would have said back in the day? You know him, Wayne Morton. He just said, I said, bend it. He said, does it hurt? Yeah. He said, well, don't bend it then. He said, carry on. He said, it's not going to get any better if it's broke. He did that to me against South Africa. Yeah, I said, is it broke? He said, well, does it hurt? I said, yeah. He said, yeah, I think it's broke. I said, well, I better go off then. He said, there's no point because once you go off, he said, you might as well carry on. It's not going to get any worse. He said, so you might as well carry on batting, have a slog, and then we'll go to hospital after. He was brilliant, Wade. He was absolutely brilliant. Great physio as well.
I've been very intrigued, by the way, gents, about the social distancing amongst the crowd of 15,000. because it appears to be, well, non-existent really. I mean, they're first of all they've all gone for the seats that are in the shade, not surprisingly. But unless they're from the same household or couples or whatever, but you would think the implication of 15,000 in a stadium which holds somewhere between, it's official capacity varies considerably, and there's a reason for that. But 15 out of about 45,000, and they're all sitting in clumps together, so presumably they're from the same households.
Well, by all accounts, Man United reckon they could be having 25,000 people in their stadium, COVID safe, and they reckon they've had that in place for about 4 or 5 months.
Ollie Stone into Pujara once again. He's had his treatment. I'm not sure that it was much other than just an injury check, and he comes forward and pushes this one out on the offside. The implication of 15,000 in a stadium that holds 45,000 is that you'd sit in every second or third seat.
Yeah,
but that doesn't appear.
Well, you got four stands as at most football grounds as well, and we've been having this discussion on TalkSport for months and months and months. And Manchester United, you're right, have put everything in place with staggered entry, tickets online.
16 for 1 India. Stone in once more outside the off stump. Quick delivery, good pace on that one as well. Left alone though, and the score remains 16 for 1.
But for some reason, it's never been allowed. We gradually had a little bit of a period, didn't we? We had a few crowds, I think 2,000 back into the stadiums, but that's soon been kiboshed. And now we're back with the cricket. But it is great, just for me personally, and you guys, to be watching cricket now, India versus England, with a crowd, because that's part of touring India, isn't it? That crowd.
Absolutely. No question about that. Here's Ollie Stone to the crease once again, and it's pushed out on the onside towards mid-wicket, and there's no run. Oh, it's been an enthralling first 6 overs. England losing the toss and being asked to bowl first. India, not surprisingly, having a bat. India choosing to bat first, and they've lost Shubman Gill, offering no shot to Ollie Stone. A beautiful nip backer in the mid 140 kilometres an hour. He's bowling a really good pace. Many thanks to Darren Gough and Gareth Batty, and good morning for the first time in this Test match to Matt Pryor.
Morning, Manners. Morning, everyone listening. Sorry, just getting a quick slurp of coffee in.
They won't be the first you'll have this morning.
Bit of a shock to the system, I must say. It's a very exciting start to this Test match. Ollie Stone's been outstanding, hasn't he?
Absolutely, really good pace. Not that Stuart Broad has been disappointing in any way, far from it. But Ollie Stone, 3 overs, 2 maidens, 1 for 1. That one is pushed up towards mid-off, and they scamper through for a quick single. As I said, Rohit Sharma, not a dedicated fan of the quick single, but he's more of a stand-and-deliver opening batsman. He moves up to 13. Cheteshwar Pujara has 4. Ollie Stone preferred to Chris Woakes in starting 11 today. England named a 12 yesterday. So the only decision to be made just before the toss was whether to play Chris Woakes or Ollie Stone, and very early stages would suggest that England have made a very good call. Not a good call to leave Woakes out, but a good one to include Ollie Stone, who's bowling particularly well. And that one's nudged off the inside edge down towards long leg. Moeen Ali comes in to do the fielding. And if there is any truth at all in what we're told about the pitches here, the darker pitches being the ones that favour the seam bowlers, well, as I said, I mean, that's what the groundsman says, but I think the Indian 11 would tell you something different in the fact that they've gone for 3 specialist frontline spinners. Rohit Sharma 13, Cheteshwar Pujara has 5, India 18 for 1. Stuart Broad, none for 17. He's been driven down the ground a couple of times. He's got mid-on and mid-off, fairly straight at the moment. Once more, he's in attacking the pad just outside off stump. Rohit Sharma pushes it square of the wicket on the offside.
With one thing I've noticed, man, is with Broad and Anderson being rotated, when they do come in, when they do get their moment to play, you can see how they take the responsibility of leading the attack. Broad's first over came charging in. I mean, his knees were so high as he was bounding in. That's all well and good, but it needs to be supported, it needs to be backed up. And Ollie Stone, his second over, pace, but more importantly, his accuracy. You know, all well and good in the subcontinent, you can fly in and bowl, try and bowl as quick as you like, but on these slow wickets,
Little bit of bat and pad there. Broad goes up for a massive LBW appeal. It was a little high and a little leg side-ish, I thought, and there was two noises. It may even have been a little bit of an inside edge. Was that Stuart Broad asking Joe Root to go for the review? He was making the review sign towards his captain.
He loves the review, old Broady, doesn't he? But no, I think he was asking from behind, did he hit it? I think he was sort of signalling, did it clip an inside edge, which we're seeing the replay now, and it certainly did. So good decision not to review it.
Yeah, it can easily be confused there. He's making the inside edge sign, isn't he? Here is Broad once again, but he's putting the two edges of his hands together like a T. So like timeout. India 18 for 1. The next one is played away defensively on the offside. So he knew it was an inside edge.
As I was saying before that, Manners, all well and good bowling fast, but in India on these wickets, which are slower, but we can see this one's low already, the length you bowl is so crucial. If you run in and bowl that sort of back of a length, it's too easy for a batsman. We've seen some shots. Rohit's been able to just lean on length balls and hit them for 4. Getting your length right is crucial.
Broad, it's chipped up into the air and it's gone over the head of the man at mid-on and down to the boundary for 4. Well, he doesn't mind hitting the ball in the air, Rohit Sharma. He's one of the most prolific one-day players and T20 players in the game's history. So he does hit the ball in the air, and I guess he's hit that one very, very sweetly. It's comfortably cleared mid-on, so I guess he was in control of the shot, Matt Pryor, or was he?
Puff of dust there again, Manners. We've seen, I think that's the second ball now already. We've spoken about how dry this pitch is. India wanting it to spin early, and that's another puff of dust, and the ball's popped out. Sharma's sort of just leant on it. I mean, he would have been expecting to try and hit that to the right hand of mid-on, but actually it's looped up over mid-on's head. But again, I mean, unbelievable timing. Sharma, he's played a couple of shots where he has just leant on it and the ball's flown off.
I'm delighted to say that the man who offered us so much in the first test match on the commentary team has joined us. Akash Chopra once again will be with us for the next 25 minutes or so. Akash, I've got so much to ask you. Let's start with the team, with the Indian team. Good morning, first of all. Are you surprised? Were you surprised by any of the inclusions? Broad in again and beats the outside edge of Pujara's bat. Morning, Akash.
Very good morning. Very good morning to you and Matt and everybody who's listening to us. Well, not surprised too much, to be honest. I was expecting Kuldeep Yadav to play. He is playing. Yes, it was a tough call to leave out Washington Sundar after what he did with the bat, but the right decision was to play a bowler, because you pick your bowlers on their bowling abilities and not on their batting abilities, and Washington wasn't impressive. So I'm not surprised with the bowling, or rather the changes. Bumrah, of course, that workload management, I think that's the thing that's going around.
Nudged away on the onside here by Pujara through square leg, and they scamper through for a quick single. 23 for 1. It's yeah, he bowled so well, didn't he, Jasprit Bumrah? But I guess they want to hold him back for the day-night test.
I think that's the thing, because he also was nursing an injury. He didn't play the last test match at Brisbane on India's last tour, and this is a long year. You've got 4 tests, 5 T20Is, 3 ODIs, then the IPL. It's a World Cup year. India plays 5 test matches in England as well. So there's a lot that's happening in this year. So perhaps just cautious.
Ollie Stone in, pushed away through mid-wicket, and the crowd cheer for another couple of runs. India move on to 25 for 1, 7.5 overs gone. Rohit Sharma 19, Cheteshwar Pujara has 6, the man out. Shubman Gill offering no shot to Ollie Stone. Nip backer, really quick, was crashing into the top of off stump. What's the crowd like, Akash? It's they don't seem to be practicing very much social distancing, do they? Here is Ollie Stone once again. Short and wide, cut past Gully, down to the boundary for 4. We're so used to this manufactured crowd noises, it's really quite bizarre to hear the real thing.
I know this is refreshing because this is pretty much the heartbeat of cricket, isn't it? We got used to a different environment, but you need people in the stadium. Of course, they can do a little bit more towards that COVID behavior, COVID appropriate behavior, a bit more social distancing, wear your masks, etc. But the brighter side is that they are back in the stadium, and that's huge.
It is. It's just. We've become so used to it. It's almost. It feels unusual. Well, good Yorker length here. Delivery from Ollie Stone now, right up in the block hole, and Rohit Sharma has to dig it out. He remains on 23. India 29 for 1. Ollie Stone's been impressive. Akash, the pitch, is it? Are you expecting it to turn as much, if not more, than the first Test pitch?
Without doubt, Neil. I think this will not start as a marathon. It will start as a sprint. So expect a lot to happen very soon.
Pushed away off the back foot defensively, looking to force it through the offside, I think. But in the end, pushes it off the bottom hand up towards mid-on. India 29 for 1. So you think this Test match will move quickly from the off rather than the normal Test match, which is normally quite slow moving in the first couple of days?
Yes, I think it is going to move pretty fast. I'm pretty confident actually that it won't last all 5 days, and I'm saying that in the first hour of first day's play. But I think there is enough in the surface. You'll find the spinners coming in. They will have a huge say, and maybe a 4-day Test match is what is in the offing.
Thank you, Akash. 8 overs gone. India 29 for 1 for the next 20 minutes. You'll be with Andrew McKenna.
Thank you, Neil. Morning, everyone. What a start to this Test match. India winning the toss and batting. They made 3 changes. England made 4, as we were expecting. Butler, Anderson, Bess and Archer all missing out. Folkes, Broad, Moeen and Stone into the side. And we have our first bowling change. And it is the left arm spin of Jack Leach, who will be bowling at the Pitavaraman gate end. His slow left arm. And Jack Leach and Joe Root just in conversation at the moment. 6 wickets in the first Test, 2 for 105 in the first innings, 4 for 76 in the second. And he will be bowling to Cheteshwar Pujara. 6 not out for him. Rohit Sharma's got 23 from 24 balls. Some absolutely beautifully timed shots from Rohit Sharma, and a couple of uppish ones as well. One off Stuart Broad, just clipped over mid-on's head, but India 29 for 1. We've already seen a couple starting to dust up, and England have Jack Leach into the attack for the 9th over. They've got a silly point, a slip, and in fact actually silly point is more of a silly mid-off. There's then the drive man on the offside, a drive man at mid-wicket as well, as Leach prepares to come in for his first ball. In fact, actually he doesn't. He walks forward and just rubs his fingers into the dust just to get some moisture off the fingers. Now settles in at the end of his mark. In the sunshine in Chennai, Leach around the wicket. Pujara pushes into the offside and takes a single, and immediately the cheer goes up from the crowd. So Matt Pryor, we've already seen a couple starting to dust up, and therefore the expectation will be on Jack Leach from the outset.
Yep, and that's another one. First ball from Jack Leach, and another puff of dust we've just seen. Bit of turn and bounce. Heard Ben Folkes, the wicket-keeper, behind. Bit of a jeer, because he would have seen that turn and bounce.
Very good morning to listeners on TalkSport as well, joining us 4:45 this Saturday morning. Got a long old day of sport ahead of you, so thank you very much for joining us at this time. Or maybe you're just coming in from work. You're with us through to the Weekend Sports Breakfast on TalkSport later on. Jack Leach in. Rohit Sharma turns this on the onside. Thinks about a single, but Ben Foakes is out quickly from behind the stumps. And there is no run. Of course, every ball of the Test match series and the white ball match is exclusively live on TalkSport 2. Just get yourself the app. You can swipe between the two stations should you need to. And that's the easiest way to stay with us. Leach back at the end of his mark. Is in. That's leg side-ish. A paddle sweep is attempted by Rohit Sharma. Now it takes him on the pad. Jack Leach is asking, and they are starting to have a conversation. It looked leg side-ish to me in real time, Matt.
Don't review it. Don't review it. I think it's going down.
2 seconds, 1 second. They have reviewed it. Well, the question is, how far did Rohit Sharma get across his stumps? England have reviewed it.
Director?
I don't think he went far enough, or it's got to spin back quite a lot.
Given not out, fair delivery. Spin vision, please.
Well, it's not a no ball, so that's the first point. And after the first Test match, you do have to stress it. Now, we see the ball on the replay pitch, and I can't see a great deal of leg stump there on that replay. It's Anil Chowdhury, by the way, who's doing the duties. He was a standing umpire in the first Test. He's on TV duty in this one. Nitin Menon and Virender Sharma are the standing umpires for this one. One thing about the DRS in the first Test is it did take quite a long time. And it looks like the England players have seen one replay and have already gone back to their places. But we're only at ultra edge at the moment, and there's no edge there.
Flat line, no bat involved.
So they've now decided that there's no bat involved or glove involved. And now we get the ball tracking. And the ball tracking says pitching in line.
Pitching in line. Impact outside. Thank you.
But it hasn't spun. It's carried on. The impact is outside of leg stump, but would have missed leg stump by, well, a good few centimetres in the end, Matt.
Yeah, it's a poor review. It's a poor review. Imagine Joe Root, the captain, will be a bit annoyed by that, being completely honest.
Well, is that maybe one of the issues of a wicket-keeper who hasn't kept in a Test match or in a live match situation for a few weeks, in the fact that he just maybe hasn't got his calibration in yet? In comes Leach, and Rohit Sharma is punching this one down to long off. Where Stuart Broadwell field, comfortable single taken, 31 for 1, because the wicket-keeper is the key man in all of this.
I think the bigger challenge is being bold enough to say, no, Jack Leach, we're not reviewing it. You know, I think that's the confidence to be able to do that, because you've got a bowler screaming at you saying we should review it, we should review it. To have the confidence in yourself to go, no, that's going down, we're not reviewing it. I think that's probably the bigger challenge. I think Ben Foakes, because he was shouting down the wicket, you could hear him saying, where did it hit him? Because he would have been blinded of the exact contact point on the pad. But he's got to stand up and make that call.
Pujara is facing Leach, and from the crease just pushing this one back down the pitch, and there is no run. Because, yes, the bowler's, if he's appealing, he automatically thinks he's out, so you almost have to be sort of the negative side of things and be that rational, dispassionate, I guess, part of the process. Leach goes in, Pujara forward, no run.
You certainly do, and it's tough because you also desperately want a wicket, so you've got to try and put that out of your mind and say, hold on, DRS, this is not about burgling a wicket, this is about eradicating that really bad poor call or bad decision. It has to be stone dead, really, for an umpire's call to be turned around. So, but yeah, I mean, when you've got bowlers screaming, I mean, Graham Swan a number of times when he would say we've got to review it, and I said no, we're not doing it. I'd say to Strauss and Cook, I don't believe we should review it, and he was always that slip, and he would come, stand next to me, or while he was bowling, he would sort of whisper, if you turn down one of those reviews and it is actually out, I'm going to kill you. every time.
Ben Stokes is into the bowling attack for just the 10th over. 31 for 1 are India here on TalkSport and TalkSport 2. Well, Ben Stokes was fairly lightly used in the first match. 6 overs in the first innings, 4 overs in the second. He was the first change in the first innings. And he will be into the attack in the 10th over of this match. So England not going double spin yet. In comes Stokes. The ball to Rohit Sharma, outside of off stump. Rohit Sharma pushes into the offside, and it will roll away for 4 because Ollie Pope's not going to get this one back from the cover boundary. And Rohit Sharma goes to 28 at a run a ball. India 35 for 1. It means he's already got more runs in this innings than he managed in the first test. And Akash, from an Indian point of view, Rohit Sharma is looking really good at the moment.
Yes, he is, and you need somebody like him in the middle who can keep the scoreboard ticking, because this pitch, it is not going to be easy scoring. Ball is not going to come out to the bat nicely. Spin will become fairly difficult to negotiate. So you need somebody, if there is a ball to be hit, he's hitting it and getting runs.
He's just guiding this one to Rory Burns in the gully for no run. Just looking at the pictures, they keep the TV keeps cutting to a lady in the crowd every time Rohit Sharma plays a shot. I'm assuming it's therefore his wife. Yes. Is she a very famous lady in her own right, or is because the way they keep cutting to her, I'm wondering if she's maybe like an actress or a TV personality as well?
Well, no, she is Rohit's wife. Yes, fairly active on social, but no, she's not an actress.
Oh, fair enough. I wondered if we were meant to recognise her as well. Stokes is in. Rohit Sharma is solidly in behind this one, pushing into the covers, and there is no run. From what you've seen in this first innings, look, we always talk about going and batting as big as you can, Akash, but realistically, what do you believe is the scoreline that India would be thinking? Bearing in mind, we've already seen a few going through the top. We've seen a couple misbehaving.
Get past 350, that'd be more than enough. Or you'd be happy with that. Let's not say more than enough, but you'd be happy with that.
Stokes is in once again. Rohit Sharma turns this on the onside. They're going to take one, and Pujara was thinking of coming back for a second. Moeen Ali is the man tearing in off the boundary, and they won't take that second. So 36 for 1. Rohit Sharma 29. Pujara has 7, and Pujara will be the man back on strike. Of course, England now have had 6 consecutive wins in test matches in Asia. I can remember the time when winning in Asia was almost like the holy grail for English sides, but they've now managed it, and another win in this series puts them really strong position. Stokes is in. Pujara plays it from the crease, up on his toes, drops it down to Darren Lawrence at point, and there is no run. Of course, England are looking for a place in the World Test Championship if they can in the final. They need to win this series 3-0, 3-1 or 4-0 to qualify. So a win in this test match would be a huge boost to them going into the day-night test in Ahmedabad after a week's break between the games. Stokes in to finish the over, and Pujara has nothing to do with that one. End of the over here on TalkSport 2 and on TalkSport. 10 overs gone, 36 for 1 are India, having won the toss and decided to bat. And Matt Prior, I mean, you'll have been... Oh, hang on, before we bring Matt in, Jared Kimber, my apologies. Morning for the first time, Jared.
Good morning. Good morning. I don't have any stats on Rohit Sharma's wife yet, but I have put a tweet out to see if
Keep
anyone
working
can
on it.
come up with them for us. But I do have some on Jack Leach. Jack Leach averages 57 when bowling in the first innings of a test and 20 in the second innings. Now, obviously, that's going to be slightly different than most Asian spinners because they're going to bowl on a lot more helpful tracks in the first innings. But that is something that Jack Leach has been trying to work on, apparently, is when the pitch is flat, trying to come up with more variations and things that he can do to keep the pressure on the opposition. So far in his career, he hasn't been able to do that. Doesn't look like it's going to be as much of a problem on this particular pitch.
Absolutely. It's sort of an overcast kind of day. It's that sort of mist in the Chennai sky, but it is hot. 28, 29 degrees throughout the day as Jack Leach will start a new over. Rohit Sharma comes to meet it, plays ever so slightly inside out, plays to Stuart Broad, stationed at long off for a single. Rohit goes to 30, India 37 for 1. Jack Leach is spinning the ball from hand to hand. He's had 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. He's really trying to get those fingers going. in, left arm around the wicket. Pujara's using his feet, just pushing out on the onside. Joe Root will field, and there is no run. Leach is back in position at the end of his mark. Just waiting for the batsman to settle back in. And Pujara's still not actually in his stance yet. Now he is. Taps his bat 2 or 3 times and is now awaiting Leach. Leach left arm around, taken just outside of off stump, and he's looking Pujara to carve past Rory Burns at backward point, but can't beat the man, and there is no run. In Matt Pryor, we were just talking earlier about England's record now in Asia. For so long it was a struggle to win test matches there, but at the moment it seems to be something that they have a handle on, as Pujara's pushing into the onside, no run.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say they have a handle on it just yet, but you know, obviously winning the first test was phenomenal, and the way they played was, I mean, it was perfect test match cricket in subcontinental conditions.
Leach for the 5th ball of the over. Pujara is coming forward and there's no run.
This is going to be a whole nother challenge. I mean, the first things first, the wicket looks completely different. It's a lot drier. Akash, the one thing I loved about playing cricket in the subcontinent is when you turned up at a ground, it was almost like everyone knew something you didn't. Everyone knew, you know, whether it was the groundsman would give you sort of an eerie look. It's sort of like, okay, what are we in for here?
Leach to complete the over. Pujara, middle of the bat, pushing back down the pitch, no run. 11 gone here on TalkSport and TalkSport 2. 37 for 1 India.
And you turn up first morning and say, okay, and everyone's going, oof. As Akash again has just said, 350, you'd be happy with it. You know, to say that on the first morning in subcontinent, I mean, subcontinent, first innings, you're looking at 450, 500, something like that. So suddenly you turn up on a pitch and everyone's saying 300 is a good score. You were then hoping you've got to win the toss. Yeah, and I don't care what anyone says, there would have been that moment where the coin goes up and Joe Root loses I mean, you could see on his face as well, he was a bit like, oh my goodness. The bowlers in the dressing room would be going, oh gosh, here we go. And you get yourself all drummed up and off, you know, as I said, Broadstone come charging in. But now we'll see the crucial, the shine's gone off the new ball. It's only 10 overs old, but there is no swing. The spinners are going to have to do a job.
As Stokes starts a new over, Rohit Sharma off the back foot forces into the covers. Lawrence Fields no run.
And as we've just spoken about, Jack Leach is going to have to find a way not just to take wickets, but to contain these Indian batsmen, because what you have to do now as an England cricket team and a bowling unit is say, right, if we're not taking wickets, we can't go for runs. And that's where the seamer's role is so crucial. So England will be working frantically, I'll tell you now, on getting this ball to reverse as quickly as possible, because you need to get it going sideways somehow. It's not going to swing orthodox, so you have to get it to reverse swing and bowl very, very tight, wicket to wicket.
Stokes on his way, right arm over the wicket. Rohit Sharma's hitting this through mid-wicket. I'll amend that. He's hitting it over mid-wicket. I think that's gone all the way. Nitin Menon is just checking the umpire as to what he's going to signal in terms of 4 or 6. It's definitely a boundary of some description. They will just throw it upstairs, but I think it's gone all the way. Rohit Sharma was just waiting on that one, pulls it through mid-wicket, and it does indeed land over the boundary. It's gone all the way for a 6, and Rohit Sharma has the first 6 of the innings. The cheer goes up from the crowd. That's when you can tell that the crowd are in. 43 for 1. And Stokes is on the way for the next delivery. It's a shortish ball again. He says, well, go on, Rohit, do you want to play it again? And Rohit says, why not? Along the floor on this occasion, though, through backward square leg. Stokes has gone 6-4 and walks back to his mark, shaking his head. India 47 for 1.
Yeah, 2 good shots from Sharma there, but 2 poor deliveries from Stokes. He's struggled with his rhythm so far this morning. So it's so important for these seam bowlers to be able to find a length, bowl very, very straight, wicket to wicket, but get the ball up. There is nothing in this wicket for back of a length or short pitch bowling. And Sharma's got a couple of freebies there, but he's been good enough to execute the shot and take the boundaries.
2 slips and a gully waiting for Stokes as he's in. This one is straight, turned on the leg side by Rohit Sharma. It's going to go down to Jack Leach at long leg. It will be just a single. Rohit goes to 48 for 1. You might have just heard a huge cheer at a sort of random moment. The reason being, Virat Kohli was shown on the big screen watching the replay. He was applauding the shot. The crowd applaud Virat Kohli for just being Virat Kohli. India closing in on 50. If you are just joining us, 5 o'clock this Saturday morning, India have won the toss. They're 48 for 1. Ollie Stone has the wicket for England as Pujara plays down the pitch and there is no run. He got Shubman Gill, LBW, third ball that Shubman Gill had faced. He elected to play no shot and it was clattering into the stumps. He walked off. That was 0 for 1, but Rohit Sharma has really played well. He is 41 not out of the total of 48. Pujara has 7 from 32 balls, and these two look like they've realised first innings is going to be the time to score the runs, as is always the case in the subcontinent, but it looks really, really important today to finish the over. An over that's gone for 11, and Stokes is in, and solidly behind that is Pujara, and that is indeed the end of the over. And these are the thoughts of the former England batsman and keeper Matt Prior.
Yeah, it's a crucial time now for England. They got that early wicket, a great start-off spell from Ollie Stone, but now the ball is, we're just seeing pictures now, Dan Lawrence is actually the man working so hard on this cricket ball. England will desperately want to get it doing something, so reverse swing for the seamers will be crucial, but then their line and length is going to be pivotal. We'll talk about the spinners, we'll talk about Leach, Moeen Ali when he gets his chance, taking wickets, but at the other end, when England have had success in the subcontinent, the seam bowlers have always had a job. That your Swans, your Panesars have taken the wickets, but your Broads, your Andersons have had a huge job to do with the ball, reverse swinging, bowling very tight. The target is to go at no more than 2.5 and over, and so far in the last half hour England have struggled at that.
Well, that is the first hour of the Test match done and dusted. It's drinks 48 for 1. Rohit Sharma's 41. Pujara has 7. I'll just remind you, of course, that it is Saturday. There's going to be plenty of football coming up throughout the day. At 12:30, you've got a choice of games on TalkSport. It's Leicester against Liverpool, while on TalkSport 2, Nottingham Forest take on Bournemouth in the Championship. So get your TalkSport app fired up and ready for that, and you can just flick between the two, whichever game you want. And while you think about downloading that app, I'll hand it over to Mark Nicholas.
Thanks, Macca. Big game, that. Leicester-Liverpool. Very interested in Matt Prior's observation there about the role of seamers. Of course, his tour, England was so good here in 2012, 2013. And he mentions the seamers' support of Swan and Panesar. So too when England won here famously in 75-6 under Tony Greig, or 76-7 I should say, under Tony Greig. They went 3 up in the series, and John Lever took 26 wickets in support of Derek Underwood's 29. John Lever was a left-arm swing bowler, so I think the point's very well made, and the wicket-to-wicket is very well made. He makes that point because you simply have to be bringing LBW into the game in this country, really, and the closer you bowl from the stumps to the stumps, the more likely you are to get LBWs. 48 for 1 here, and Rohit has played very well. He's been quite good in limiting himself by hitting primarily sort of mid-off and extra cover region, and until the 2 balls that were short from Stokes, the first a 6 and the second a 4. The only risky shot really was the drive off the back foot that shot past Rory Burns in the gully off Ollie Stone, but actually he's been disciplined. We've seen a lot of the blade of the bat, and I can't think of any player in the world who's any more gifted than Rohit. It's just a question of consistently turning those gifts into high scores. Gareth Batty is joining me, and Gareth, I mean, look, this has been a very good hour from everybody, from England's bowlers, from India's batsmen. The 1 wicket falling to a lovely ball from Ollie Stone, but we are already getting the feel, aren't we, that this is a very nice pitch to bat on today and will quickly become less nice.
Yeah, absolutely. It has been a good start from both teams to an extent, and now it is exactly what Maddie's saying. It's how England can arrest a little bit of initiative by just holding the game, just hold the scoring rate. Because India, you just feel, are starting to put the foot down, feel a little bit more confident. And it's almost roles reversed, isn't it, that we see from spinners sometimes in England and Southern Hemisphere where they have to play the holding role for the fast bowlers. It's almost roles reversed a little bit now in India, in Chennai today, where the big fellas need to just hold the game a little bit and allow Jack Leach and Moeen Ali to go about their business.
Well, it'll be Jack Leach now spinning the ball in his hands before he comes to deliver it to Rohit Sharma. And he offers him a little drive, which Sharma sort of half went for and pushed it nicely to Joe Root. Short extra cover. The ball bouncing across the red soil of the pitch that was used in the last test. And Root smiles at his tumble to feel the bouncing ball that's inconsistent out of that old dusty pitch. Here's Leach again. This is beautiful length and line from Jack Leach. I like him a lot in so many ways as a man, and it's pushed to short extra cover again by Rohit Sharma off a full length. I just think he's got such a good attitude. He's calm when things don't go his way, studious. Here he is again. He bowls another lovely ball, and that's defended on the front foot a little higher. We keep seeing a lot of this Rohit Sharma blade. He's the one who can switch momentum in a series so quickly. Pujara can make you ache all day, but this bloke can hurt you. Certainly dust coming as that ball pitched. Oh, this really does look as if it's going to rip this. Oh, that's out. God, no, it hasn't carried quite, has it? Oh, I thought Ben Stokes had plucked it from the ground. Orthodox edge from a spinning ball, and Stokes tried to scoop it up with his fingers, but it probably didn't quite carry.
It's been a great set of 4 balls there from Leach. The last ball taking the edge. Every ball taking a massive puff of dust and disturbing the surface. Didn't quite carry to Ben Stokes there at slip.
Well, that's like a third or fourth day ball. It really ripped as he goes forward again and defends on the front foot. Rohit Sharma lucky to escape dismissal off the previous ball. It's hit the shoulder of the bat. The glove, that's why it didn't carry. It bounces and spins. Oh dear, the old spitting cobra. Lovely bowling from Jack Leach. Again he comes in and he pitches, and what a gorgeous over this has been, really has, as Rohit plays forward defensively. 5 lovely balls and 1 ripping ball, Gareth, and it's 48 for 1.
It was a beautiful set there from Jack Leach. All 6 asking some great questions. He's definitely learnt from that first test match how he bowled in the second innings, where he was driving the ball in towards the stumps to bring in both edges of the bat. The one observation possibly is every single ball was disturbing the surface of the pitch there. Can he be a fraction more direct, just to get a little bit more zip out of the surface and just ask the question a little bit more?
What do you mean by direct?
I don't like the word pace, so I try and take pace out of it. So I don't want it to have as much loop. I want it to be a bit more direct, so that the batsman it's almost like throwing a dart at a dartboard. There is no line, there is no dip or shape on it, just direct into there. So the batsman has to pick a line early, has to pick the length, and then hopefully you do him on both edges with less time for him to change or adapt his position on the addressing the shot, really.
Shows you what I know. I was going to encourage him to give it a bit more loop.
Well, I'm only suggesting when it's disturbing so much the surface, which it has every single ball, you would suggest more Monty Panesar style, Jadeja style, where it's direct. Give the batter no opportunity to get one side of the ball or skip down the wicket or give him any time. Just make it harder for him.
Right, here's Moeen Ali. Interesting, Gareth. I'm glad you're on at this stage. He's coming into the attack, well, understandably early. We're only 13 overs into the test match. The score's 48 for 1. Rohit Sharma's unbeaten with 41. Pujara's faced 33 balls for 7. So it's very much as you might expect from him. Slipper short leg and a man on the drive leg side now, as Pujara faces up to a full toss from Moeen Ali, which is thumped back at him, but he does the fielding. Dom Bess had a touch of the full tosses in the second innings and in the first test match, and now Moeen has started with one today. Number 18 on his back. He comes in nice and relaxed. Down the pitch comes Cheteshwar Pujara and drives pleasantly to mid-off and does get a single to the left side of the fielder, who's a right-arm thrower, Joe Root. He just slipped a bit there and lay on the ground for a minute. I was a bit worried. Now he stands up and limps. Yes, he did get it wrong, possibly going over on his ankle. So that That's always a concern, but I don't think it is a concern. It's one of those things you have to walk off. It'll just, that pain will ease. Never good to go over on an ankle. Not if you're the master batsman, particularly. Yeah, that's what happened. As he's tumbled to his right, he just got it wrong, I think, with his right ankle. Anyway, now it'll bring Rohit Sharma, and I don't think Rohit Sharma will want to let Moeen settle. It's a nice ball, off spinner, dead straight, and he pushes it quietly on a length to short mid-wicket. I just feel that not having played a first-class match for so long, not having played a test match for 16 months, but only 2 first-class matches in that time, I think, if that. And he knocks it down to mid-on, who's already back on the boundary. And he gets an easy single, and the 50 arrives for India. 50 from 13 overs and 4 balls. England had a hold on it at the beginning, and they're just beginning to loosen that hold, this Indian pair. One a stroke maker, the other an anchor. Crowd like it. 15,000 in the ground, giving a sense of spice to the occasion here. That's nicely bowled. Moeen Ali spins it, and as Pujara comes down the pitch, it thumps into his pad, beating his defensive stroke. This is very Pujara. He likes to defend from down the pitch. If he can get nearer the ball, he wants to. It makes it harder for the off-spinner to get it wide of off-stump and open that gap between bat and pad. That's good defensive batting. Down he comes again, exactly the same, except this time he does get bat on it and pushes it out to mid-on for a single, who is still back. I wouldn't have him back for Pujara personally, but he is back. It's 51 for 1 now. Pujara moves to 9.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's just game time. It's almost a feel for the game, the feeling of how you go about your business. Sometimes you do forget when you haven't been playing or been around the setup for a period of time. So just want to ease himself in. Just for a couple of overs, Moeen Ali. That was a nice start for him. The 5th ball there that he bowled, that was what I was meaning by being a bit more direct. It's sort of driven into an area, and the batter can't get offside, he can't get leg side, he has to play the line of the ball.
Joe Root's just gone off the field. I didn't like that little turnover on the ankle. He'd gone off, and Zach Crawley has come on. A sighting, the lesser spotted Zach Crawley is out there. Nice to see him, always a fresh face, brilliant fielder, of course. Now Jack Leach again spinning the ball in his fingers like it's a child playing with a toy. Here he comes, he bowls now. Down the pitch comes Pujara, who again drives beautifully just to the left of mid-off, who's a right-handed thrower. Broad has replaced Root there, and so there is another run there. And India already showing signs of both batsmen, you know, of being happy to use their feet. That's the great thing in India, much more than the sweep shot. I'm trying to think of the last Indian batsman who was really a master of the sweep. Certainly Tendulkar, Sachin, master of most shots, but he was certainly one. I'll keep thinking as Rohit Sharma now waits in his pretty orthodox stance for Leach, and there he plays the sweep. Thank you very much. There you go, full toss, swept for 4 with great power actually.
Yeah, that was pretty masterful, Mark. Beautiful shot here. Leach didn't do an awful lot wrong, but Rohit got low in his sort of pre-delivery set up, a little bit of a press, so he's already under the line of the ball, underneath the trajectory, gets low with his head and bang, takes the ball on the full toss, so reaches out in front of himself, in front of square, 4 runs.
Yeah, at first I thought it was a premeditated shot, but I'm not sure it was actually, although I would have thought usually he'd drive a full toss wide of mid-on, but anyway, he's got 4, whatever. I can't, I'd like to get into Rohit Sharma's head, but I can't. 56 for 1 now. Rohit Sharma going very well. Jack Leach again. This time he defends. What a good ball and what a good defensive stroke. Quality batting from Rohit Sharma in response to a quality ball from Jack Leach. Eagerly back to his mark. Nice spring in his step today, Jack Leach. Balls now to Rohit. That's a poor ball. That is a full toss. Really old full bunger that. Sort of knee height, and he just swatted it with the sweep shot, and he's gone to 50 with it. It's a really good innings. I think this guy's such a fabulous player. A lovely 50, but he's sort of pretty pragmatic about it. He's not over celebrating. He raises his bat to the crowd in each direction, but there's no great animation. I think he's got go big in the back of his head here, go really big. He can see the opportunity.
He's played so well for that 50, almost effortless ease, if that is a good description. He's played beautifully all around the wicket. He's picked up length so quickly, as he did there with a full toss from Jack Leach. The ball before, I think he made into a full toss. That one was a knee, sort of low shin knee, high full toss. But he has played with relative ease. He's a real craftsman and reminds me of a right-handed David Gower or somebody of that sort of ilk, the way they make the game look incredibly easy.
Yeah, I picked Mahela Jayawardene and Babar Azam of modern players. You know, orthodox right-handers, but with style.
Yeah, fair shout.
60 for 1 now. Rohit to 50 is in 47 balls. Going to be a hard man to keep quiet today. So you've got to get him out. Jack Leach bowls a little higher that time, and Rohit came down the pitch and defended by pushing it back to Leach, and then sort of lost balance a bit and spun round in a semicircle to get back into his ground. Nice to see, as I look at the television, the action of the crowd in the background, coming back with their drinks and their food and back to their seats. That's good ball, bounces a bit more on the defensive stroke, hits the splice of the bat, but rolls safely out onto the leg side for no run. 60 for 1. Gareth, go back, there was a Pakistan opening batsman, Majid Khan, who was also like that. The South African Barry Richards. Sachin was a very elegant looking right-handed player. It's the upright, straight lines, technique, you know, it's just all in sync, isn't it?
Almost. What about Mark Waugh? He reminds me a bit of Mark Waugh.
Mark was a little more leg-sided, but I know what you mean. Yeah, an easy style.
Yeah. Just seem very... they never seem under any pressure. They never seem too flustered. Everything seems pretty chilled. You see him talking to his partner Pujara there in the middle. It all seems very relaxed, and I've got this, I've got it under control, which is a very calming effect on other people around you. And obviously you back it up with the skill sets he has. Wow.
Do you ever bowl at Daryl Cullinan?
I did, in a warm-up sort of pre-game thing.
Goffey's got his hand up with a big smile saying, I did, as if to say he could bat, couldn't he, Goffey? Yeah, says Goffey, yeah, he could bat. Also, a lovely looking right-handed player. Anyway, let's continue with Pujara, on strike to Moeen Ali. Shorter and a non-spinner, that one, a slider that goes on, and Pujara just drops it down off the back foot onto the offside, but there's no run. I think he deliberately put more, sort of spun it more like a top, that ball, than an off spinner, and down comes Pujara, whips it away off his legs. It wasn't really over pitched, it was made by the footwork, and it goes for 4. It's quite unusual not to have a fielder there, deep backward square leg for an off spinner, Gareth.
Yeah, it is. Moeen started with a sweeper on the offside. Generally, you'd say you'd have your sweeper on the offside more for a ball that isn't quite what you're looking for, almost a bad ball. Whereas hitting with the spin there, all he's got to do is shimmy down the surface. It's not a bad ball by any stretch of the imagination, but because Moeen gets a bit more pace on the ball, all it has to do is beat the infield, and it's off and into the boundary ropes.
Lovely batting this from India as lower bowled. No, they appeal, but no, it comes off the pad. So flight from Moeen Ali. Pujara danced down, couldn't get to it, padded it away, and it looped up to Ben Stokes at slip. Jack Leach appealed, but was the only one to do so, as Stokes and folks behind the wickets knew that there was no bat involved. Down he comes again and pads it away again. As he kicks it away, is there a case for a straightish silly point in there or not?
Yeah, I think there is. That's certainly what Pujara does. He looks to skip down and almost take the catches on the leg side out of the equation, because he does get a little bit into out on it, so he kicks it in the offside.
Yeah, well, it's all very deliberate. That's good fielding. At short leg, it'll be Ollie Pope in there, I'm sure, and he pushed off the back foot, but stopped by Ollie Pope. Nobody back leg side at the moment. One back offside, a sweeper. It's quite an unusual field, I'd say. Perhaps Moeen Ali is going to continue to bowl this line wide of off stump. Down comes Pujara and works the ball outside off stump It's full to short mid-wicket for no run. End of the over, 64 for 1. A word from Gareth, and then I'll be handing over to Neil Manthorpe.
Yeah, nice over there from Moeen Ali. He looks as though he's operating predominantly square spin. And by that, what happens with your square spin, it's a bit more direct. It's almost you're driving it into the surface a little bit more. Because it's disturbing the surface pretty much every ball for the spinners, you don't need as much overspin. The seam doesn't need to spend as much time on the surface because it's already disruptive. So actually, by him bowling square spin, he's just holding the outside edge of Pujara, which then the one that grips. He doesn't know whether it's going to spin or not. It actually makes the tiger line he's bowling outside off stump even more threatening to Pujara. We saw a couple of balls where he's having to hold on the outside edge and just sort of run it into those areas where Ben Stokes is at slip, and then obviously we see him looking to get offside and clip it into mid-wicket. But lovely start from Moeen Ali. He's just a little bit more direct. He's asking a few more questions than maybe the flightier approach of Leach.
India 64 for 1, Rohit Sharma 50. That half century coming from just 47 deliveries with 8 fours and a pulled 6 against Ben Stokes. Jack Leach continues. Nice drift into Rohit now, who takes half a pace down the pitch and pushes it straight back towards mid-off. Leach does his own fielding, and there's no run. Every time you refer to square spin, I love to ask you to explain that to our listeners, mostly because I love to hear you explain it. Here is Leach once again. Forward comes Rohit Sharma. Because I love to see, I love watching your hand actions as you explain it. The listeners can't see.
Can we have a Gareth Batty drinking game, Manus?
I'll let you work on it, Batch. You can explain it in a moment. Here's Leach once again. Forward comes Rohit Sharma. Big appeal for leg before wicket. He'd taken a pace and a half down the pitch. Leach is adamant here. He was quite a long way down. It seemed to me like he might have got outside the line of off stump as well. But Leach was very excited. The DRS timer is ticking down 2-1, so they're not going to review it. That was what was Leach thinking? He wasn't really playing a shot at that?
Probably a little bit too far down the pitch, which then it becomes null and void, doesn't it? I'm not sure the exact distance. Certainly all over the stumps. It's within those tram lines.
I tell you what, that was definitely pad first. Oh, I tell you what. Here is Leach once again, and little paddle sweep now, down on one knee, Rohit Sharma, and he picks up a single to backward square leg. I tell you what, that was sliding straight on, and it would be really interesting if we do get a pitch vision view of that. It was sliding straight on. I don't think that was too far away at all. We are actually getting a ball tracking picture now, and it suggests that it was going about 6 inches over the top of middle stump. So, correct call, it would appear, from umpire Virender Sharma. On the back foot, plays it defensively up towards mid-on. Virender Sharma is making his Test match debut, the second Indian umpire to do so. He's only been on the international umpires panel since 2019. It's his Test debut. Here's Leach once again. Little bit short, little bit wide, not too much of either, but enough width to be cut away towards the boundary, and a fabulous save from Rory Burns. I have to say, money was on the ball all the way there, but Burns put in the last second dive and scooped it back to, was that Ollie Stone who was shadowing him down to the boundary? No, it was Dom Sibley.
Big Dom.
Really good work from Rory Burns. Goodness gracious me, he's only saved one run, but it's the commitment. It's good speed across the ground as well. Dom Sibley shadowing him all the way down to the boundary. Burns flicks it back. Sibley gets the throw in. Terrific commitment from Rory Burns. India move up by 3 to 67 for 1. Square spin. I'm not going to let you off.
You just like me making a fool of myself.
No.
So the simplest way, get the palm of your hand and stick it on the window in front of you, and then just sort of almost wave at the person through the glass. That is basically square spin with your fingers split at the top. So The ball is sort of, you see half of the ball going towards the batsman, and then overspin, you would have the side of your hand on that glass, and it's almost giving a bit more overspin to the ball.
Oh, it's edged and all the way along the ground. It bounces well short of Stokes at slip, but that was a direct delivery from Moeen Ali, and Rohit Sharma was he was beaten almost by the extra pace of that delivery, an outside edge, and he gets a single.
Yeah, and the difference of the two balls is overspin, you get more drop, so it defeats the batsman in the last 3 metres more than a square spin because it travels a bit more. It's almost like your, what would it be? Your time warp that you see on the movies where it goes in a big spiral down at the end and they end up somewhere different. That's kind of a square spin spiral that we'll say.
Short leg and a slip as Moeen Ali's in once again. It's full and turned even fuller by the fact that Pujara takes half a pace out of his crease and flicks it away through mid-wicket. And they go through for another single. India move on to 70 for 1.
So the main reasons I would suggest square spin when the surface is being disrupted more often than not on here, you give the batsman less opportunity to move around the crease because of the drop that you get from overspin. It's easier sometimes to get back or forward unless you are absolutely perfect. Square spin gives you a slightly bigger margin for error because you don't know yourself whether it's going to spin big or carry on with the arm.
Here is Moeen Ali once again, and it's pushed away defensively off the back foot by Pujara into the offside, and there's no run. And then if you want to bowl the one that goes straight on, that isn't necessarily a top spinner, it doesn't have that overspin, you can control how do you grip it when you want to bowl the slider, and that one is flicked away out towards mid-wicket straight to Sibley, and there's no run.
Several different ways of doing it, isn't there? There's your conventional arm ball where you'd set it up like a fast bowler, you just have one finger down it. You would set up your square spin but canter it back in your hand, so you would undercut it so it goes down like a flying saucer, so it hits the rough or the shiny side and skips on. Or you can do as you say and get the seam going revolution wise straight over the top like a fast bowler would, with a straight up and down sort of overspinner.
Here's Moeen once again, and using his feet again, leaving the crease. Rohit Sharma plays defensively. Do finger spinners ever bowl a completely naked delivery? One with just like nothing on it?
I've done it for 25 years. So I imagine there's a few more who bowl some naked balls.
No, I'm talking about the spinner's equivalent of maybe a knuckleball, the one that just wobbles a bit. And that one is chopped away behind square on the offside. Nobody at third man, 4 runs. A little bit of pace on that delivery, and the width allows Pujara just to steer it nicely away. A little chop down past backward point, the last ball of the over. 18 overs gone. India galloping along here. Their run rate's a little bit of a concern in these early stages for England.
Yeah, Sharma playing this beautifully, staying leg side of the ball, waiting for the ball to almost come past him before he then knocks it on the top of the head, and it rushes away through backwards point. Because of the pace that Moeen Ali is getting on the ball, if he can just straighten his line up a tiny little bit, I think he could be in business there, challenging both edges of the bat.
India 75 for 1. Rohit Sharma with that boundary moves on to 56. Cheteshwar Pujara has 19. The man out, Shubman Gill, offering no shot to a nip backer from Ollie Stone. Went for a third ball duck, the opener. But India winning the toss, batting first, doing very nicely indeed. Jared Kimber?
Just to answer your question on the knuckleball. Sunil Narine bowls a knuckleball, and a lot of young spinners have started working on them, so I think they'll come into the game more and more. But I don't think you'd see them that much in Test cricket. I think it'll be more a limited overs ball.
Jack Leach continues, and using his feet again, driven up towards Broad at mid-off, and there's no run. I was thinking of Sunil Narine, because he does bowl that sort of little wobbly, drifty type knuckleball type thing. It doesn't hold it like a knuckleball though, does he? It's just a naked ball.
There's 2 ways of holding the knuckleball, and
really?
So he does do it in one of those ways.
Pushed out into the covers here by Pujara, and again they scurry through for a single.
His knuckleball is so important now that he's changed his bowling action. So you know how when you're bowling reverse swing you put your hand to cover the ball so that they can't see it. He now runs in with his ball just behind his back hip, so that you can't see his grip until he basically comes over and bowls it. So that's how important his knuckleball is. He's had to change his action so many times because he's been reported for throwing that I think the knuckleball has become almost his most important ball.
India 76 for 1. Rohit Sharma 56. Cheteshwar Pujara has 20. Jack Leach has a quicker one. And again, Rohit and Pujara are both leaving the crease almost every delivery against Jack Leach.
I don't like to use the speeds particularly, but when Jack Leach is up around that sort of 88, he just has a stronger ball, and you just feel like the batters are not as comfortable. They're worried about getting hit on the pad, but also worried about that ball that would spit and bring slip into play. I just think he needs to operate a fraction more direct on these batters for more balls to keep them in the crease and pin them down for 6 balls in a row if he can.
Here is Leach once again, and that's a quick one outside the off stump. His speeds are varying quite a lot, but they just seem to be a little higher than they were in the first Test match.
Yeah, I think they're varying because he's predominantly more overspin, so it comes out at different paces on your hand, and obviously you're looking for more drop. But I think that on a slowish pitch is helping the batsman, 1, get back, and 2, sort of get in a position earlier.
Leach once again. Forward comes Pujara playing defensively. No run. India 77 for 1, winning the toss and batting first.
As opposed to committing the batsman early, they've picked it, they know it's going to be foolish, they have to hold there because of your line, and you pin them to it. Doesn't spin outside edge, big spin inside edge.
Here is Leach once again, and that's nudged away off. Well, not really back foot. He comes forward and then sort of rocks back when he picks up the length and turns it away down to short fine leg. No run. Pujara 20, Rohit Sharma 57, India 77 for 1.
But it's what we spoke about in the first Test match about fast bowlers, and it's like asking Stuart Broad to all of a sudden operate at 90 miles an hour. He's only got to up it by 2 or 3 miles an hour, but it's very, very difficult to do. And Jack Leach's natural stop ball is probably not as quick and as direct as when he's bowling at 90. That's not natural for him, so it's very hard for him to do that. So he's having to work his action even harder all the time. So it's good that he's getting up there and a bit more direct, but it's certainly not easy for him. It's not natural.
Darren Gough and Matt Pryor with me for the next half an hour as Moeen Ali continues. Spin at both ends, turned away past Rory Burns at mid-wicket. Sibley does the tidying up, they go through for another singles. Just looking little ominously straightforward for the Indian batsman at the moment, Goffey.
It is, but there is a little bit of turn there. We have had opportunities. The odd one stopping in the pitch and dusting it and bouncing and slip looks in play. Definitely to Jack Leach, especially against Rohit Sharma. But it's quite evident that the Indian batsmen are trying to get down the wicket and use their feet and get to the pitch of the ball. All good viewing so far.
Into the 20th over, Rohit Sharma has only scored 150 in his retreaded role as an opener. That's pushed off the pad, actually, behind square on the offside. Since he started opening batting in Test matches, 9 innings ago, he made a double 100 against South Africa 2019, and in subsequent 9 innings he's only scored 150 until this one. This is his second. Partnership of 78 at the moment because India were 0 for 1 when Shubman Gill was LBW to Ollie Stone. Down the wicket comes Pujara again. He does it all the time at the moment. Struck on the pad. India 78 for 1. Spin from both ends after an hour on the first day of the Test match. It's painting a picture of what we can expect over the course of the next however many days. Here is Moeen Ali once again using his feet. Pujara pushes it down towards Broad at mid-on. He's quite deep. They go through for a single. How long will it last, Matt Pryor?
What, the spin?
The Test match.
Well, if the spin continues, not long. What was it? I think it's the first or second over of the day. We saw a full delivery sort of spit, and there was a big puff of dust.
Too short from Moeen Ali, and it's steered away nicely by Rohit Sharma. It's a quality shot. We know all about his power, but his timing and finesse is also there, and it's just just too short and steered down to third man for 4.
Yeah, bit of a gift this one, short and wide. Sharma's not had to do too much. It's been a feature of his innings actually so far. He's just sort of waited for the bad delivery, and England, for me, have given him a few too many. Bowling a bit, well, the seamer's a bit wide. Spinners dropping short occasionally. Look, this now for England is playing. This is Test cricket in India. This is the norm. Turning up, winning the toss, getting 500, bowling them out twice is not normal. So here we are, turn up, hot day, dry pitch, desperate to win the toss, lose the toss, of course, in the field. Have a good go. Come on, lads, we can do it. Big first hour, get your first wicket, brilliant. But now this is the challenge of playing cricket in India. How can you keep the batsman contained?
Push down towards long on, and they go through for another single. Answer your own question.
Well, I was just about saying it's a challenge for Joe Root as captain as well, because you're trying to build pressure, but you have to have in outfields. Indian batsmen set. They can just wait and sit on the bad ball to get the boundary. Bowl a good ball, but because the field's spread, they're able to tick over and like Rohit Sharma's done there, down the wicket, 1 run. What you're relying on your bowlers to execute plans is so crucial, and I know it's a bit cliched and you hear that a lot, but you have to. So Moeen Ali, you can see it's quite obvious he's wanting to bowl wide of off stump, particularly to Pujara. He's got the men on the leg side up, no cover on the leg side, and that means he's looking to bowl a good foot outside off stump, see if one can slide on with the arm, take the edge to first slip, or if it comes back, spins through the gate, or get Pujara to play across the line. That's the plan. It's quite obvious. Now you've got to stick to it. You've got to be able to put 6 balls, international cricketer, you've got to be able to put 6 out of 6 in the right spot, and that is the right line, but also the right length, because bowling that wide of off stump, if you drop just marginally short, these players are so good that they're going to jump on that straight away, and that's your release. You can build all the pressure, one bad ball, you release it all because it's hit away to the boundary. So having the plan, yes, but then executing the plan is crucial.
Jack Leach continues. It's driven up towards Broad once more at mid-off. His slide, he's got a muddy knee now. He's been in the action quite a bit as Stuart Broad. India 85 for 1.
I think basically my concern about us going to India, I think winning the toss is important. We all know that, but is the quality of the spinners, as in, do they bowl too many bad balls? I think that was proven in the first test.
Leach again. Edge gone! Stokes takes the catch and slip. Leach has made the breakthrough. Cheteshwar Pujara has gone for 21. Super low catch. That's flown off the edge of Pujara's bat. And India are 85 for 2.
But as I was saying, they bowl too many bad balls. But when they get it right, Jack Leach, turn, bounce. He's bowled that wonderful line, testing just outside of stump. The puffer dust as we come to expect now from the wicket. And Ben Stokes, once he gets a chance at slip, he normally makes them stick. India, big wicket for England. Joe Root's delighted. Pujara, the wall, is going back to the pavilion. But guess who comes next? Yes, it's King Kohli. But India, 85 for 2 here on TalkSport.
Yep, just goes to show, if you get it in the right area, there is plenty in this surface. Another big puff of dust. Bringing Pujara forward. Good revs on the ball, good bit of drift, but it's that spin away from the bat, catches the outside. And a fantastic catch from Stokes, we have to say, went quick and low. Another feature of playing a subcontinent, catching behind the stumps or behind the wicket. They usually come fast and they come low, and a great catch from Ben Stokes. But Goffey, you put it in the right area. If the spinners put it in the right area enough, there are problems. You can see how the Indian batsmen, yes, when they're putting away the bad ball very well, but when it's anywhere near a good area, they're looking. They're not sure. Is it going to go straight? Is it going to spin? Is it going to bounce? Is it going to stay low? There's a lot happening here, and England have to build pressure by putting the ball in. I'll keep going on all morning. You've got to put the ball in exactly the right spot.
Less than a bad ball.
Exactly.
Too many bad. They can't keep affording to give India free shots. And if they can create pressure over a good hour, England, I think wickets will fall, because I think this has definitely got a bit more in it for the spinner than the last pitch they played on last week.
Oh, England needed that wicket. Really has changed the feel. It was, they were you had a sense that they were losing control of the session, and that has changed everything. Virat Kohli comes to the crease in his cap. And Leach's first delivery to him is left alone outside the off stump. Oohs and ahs and much angst being shown by Ben Foakes and Jack Leach there. Didn't seem to be that close to the off stump.
That doesn't matter, does it?
Well, again, they're trying to get into Coley's head. Wouldn't you after the way he played in the second inning?
Slip and a silly point. Pushed out towards mid-wicket.
Oh, seriousness, it doesn't matter. You got to put pressure on them, make the batsman feel. It doesn't matter who it is. Kohli, Pujara, it doesn't matter who's walked out to the crease. You got to make him feel he's in a battle from ball one.
He did. The second innings he played, the last Test match.
Here's Leach once again, played defensively by Kohli, no run. 85 for 2.
Was outstanding, wasn't it, Manners? It was just from start to finish. He was excellent. He took a ball to keep low to get him out, basically.
Here's Leach to complete the 21st over of the innings, and Kohli pushes it, strong bottom hand up to Dan Lawrence at mid-on, and the over comes to an end. Lawrence has a very key role here. He seems to be he is the designated ball maintenance manager, and he is working incredibly hard on shining it every moment he gets. He's got his shirt untucked, and he's really working hard to get something happening, some reverse swing. Rohit Sharma 64, Virat Kohli yet to score. More from Darren Goff, Matt Pryor, and then it'll be Andrew McKenna.
Yeah, England going over 4 and over so far this morning. It's just too many, isn't Goffey? Just the odd bad ball. You look at Rohit, 64. He's played well. He has played well, but 64 of 61 balls. Just too many freebies.
Moeen Ali to start his 5th over, right arm over the wickets, and Rohit Sharma clips too long on to take a single to take him to 65. And just to give you a comparison, if we go back to the first Test match, I know it was England batting and slightly different situations. England at lunch was 67 for 2 on day one. Rohit Sharma's got almost that on his own in this first session. Virat Kohli. 5th ball of his innings.
Oh, it's bowled him! Moeen Ali's got one to absolutely rip! Virat Kohli is standing there completely dumbfounded, saying, how was that? Are you sure that has bowled me? He's actually asking the umpire, is that out? He's thinking maybe as Foakes' gloves touched the stumps because it was that far outside of off stump. He's thinking that can't possibly have bowled me. Moeen Ali, you can't turn it that much.
Well, Virat Kohli's not people expect him to get out to spin so much in Indian conditions. He's got a great average against spin, and he's totally confused here. It looked a genuine delivery from Moeen Ali. We're talking about getting the ball outside that off stump and turning it back onto the off stump. Well, that was perfect. Outside off stump, looking to drive it. Clip the bails, nothing wrong with that, Virat Kohli. Yes, you can get bowled out by Moeen Ali. On your bike, son. It's another wicket to England. India 86 for 3. That's huge. Huge wicket for England.
So what's happened is the umpires wanted to make sure that there wasn't anything that Ben Foakes did to dislodge the bails or anything like that. So Virat hasn't reviewed being bowled, just to clarify that. But the umpires, they did go to the third umpire, and Virat Kohli is walking off for a blob. 5-ball duck, bowled by an absolute ripper by Moeen Ali. India are 86 for 3.
And Maka, we were talking about, the oohs and ahs. For England, Virat Kohli, first ball he faced, he left one. It was probably, 6-8 inches away from off stump, but the wicketkeeper, silly points, slip, all oohing and ahhing. It doesn't matter who you are, your first 20 balls as a batsman, you feel pressure. You want to get off to a good start, and that's so important. In these conditions, you've got to make sure the batsman feels under pressure, because that's your chance to get him. Moeen Ali, another fantastic delivery, big spin, but quite a big shot, wasn't it, on a wicket on this surface.
Searching for it. Perfect delivery. Outside off stump. If you're going to be tempted, you might be in, you might play at the shot, but he's searching for it, he's stretching for it, and it's the classic off-spinner's delivery.
Yeah.
What did they say? Don't cut an off-spinner, don't drive an off-spinner through the offside to a length ball. Turn through the gate. Big gap there from Virat Kohli. You wouldn't expect it if he were on 20, 25, 30 not out, but early on, is there. It just goes to show, no matter how good you are, you get the ball in the right areas when they first come to the crease and create some pressure, you've got a chance.
Well, Ajinkya Rahane got Norton 1 in the first match, so he's not exactly full of confidence at the moment. Boys, are we seeing... We've seen a lot of balls go through the top, and we're talking about a game that is unlikely to go 5 days. Are we seeing India start to go through the gears early, trying to think, we need to get as many as we can here before it really starts disintegrating, or am I misreading that?
I'm not sure they're going through the gears. I think there's a mentality of let's get as many as we possibly can, because we had Akash Chopra earlier saying 350 is a good score. I'll tell you what, give me 300 right now and I'm biting your arm off. I'd even go 250, you're in the game. I mean, this wicket is doing all sorts.
Definitely doing a bit more, isn't it, and quicker than that last test. The first day, if we look back to the first test in Chennai, was pretty good for batting. Nothing much went off the straight. We were talking about even on day 2, it was pretty such a good batting a wicket with not much going from the middle of the pitch straight pitch. But some of the even we dusted on day 1. Let's be fair, we dusted on day 1.
And that's also why on pitches like this, every single run counts. It's amazing how at the back end of a test match, back in last day, everyone's it's 20 runs needed. It always goes down to those fine margins. But on the first day, you let a couple of boundaries go and the odd bad ball.
Well, Moeen Ali, first ball to Ajinkya Rahane. Oh, he's given him a full toss outside of off stump, and Ajinkya Rahane gets off the mark. First ball with a shot through extra cover all along the floor. It's 90 for 3.
Yeah, frustrating there from Moeen Ali. Rahane comes to the crease. Not many runs in that first test as we've just been talking about, but nice welcome. Full toss outside off stump, driven straight through the diving fielder at extra cover. Not a good start from Moeen Ali to Rahane.
Moeen Ali to go in once again. That is outside of off stump. A little bit of drift on that one. Seems to be a bit more fizz on it. And Rahane is playing this out on the offside. No run. I think we're going to be seeing that Virat Kohli ball for a very long time for a couple of reasons. One, it took a massive puff of dust. But two, it's bowled Virat Kohli. Now, Rahane is coming down the pitch and almost yorking himself to this one to Moeen Ali, but squeezes it out on the onside. One ball left of the over, the 22nd of the innings. England lost the toss. India chose to bat, but just over 12 minutes or so to lunch. They're 90 for 3. Rahane solidly forward on this one. End of the over, 22 gone therefore. It's TalkSport and TalkSport 2, where our analyst is Jared Kimber.
Macca, just to follow up on whether they're going up through the gears, I think Rohit Sharma's playing pretty much at his normal pace here. I know he's above run a ball, but a big part of that is because he scores at almost 5 runs and over against off spin in the last 3 years since he's come back into Test cricket. He also scores at almost 4.5 runs and over against left arm finger spin in that time. So he absolutely loves scoring very quickly against these kinds of bowlers. So as long as he's out there, he's going to be scoring quickly. But I don't think you'd expect that from Rahane, other than what Rahane will do is wait for the full tosses and the short balls. Although it was a full toss from an off spinner that got him out in the last test.
That is very, very true. Yeah, the run rate for the innings so far is just under 4.1. Matt Pryor was saying earlier on, 2 and over. That's what England are going to be aiming at. Well, they're going at double that at the moment, but they do have 3 wickets in the bag already. Shubman Gill, Cheteshwar Pujara and Virat Kohli. 2 noughts and a 21. Pujara with the score. Gill and Kohli both gone for noughts. And England will be pleased with their morning's work. Leach to start a new over. Rohit Sharma is the batsman, playing it back down the pitch, just on the onside, and Leach will field in his follow-through. He's got a short leg and a slip in. Not overcrowding the batsman at this stage. This pitch definitely doing more on the first day than we saw in the first test. As Rohit plays out on the offside, Joe Root will field and there's no run.
Marking not just the first day, the first session. We've got spinners bowling in tandem and a big part, not just coming on to have a look. These two now have been bowling quite a while, Leach and Moeen Ali.
Leach is in once again. Rohit Sharma again. He's getting leg side of the ball and pushing to Joe Root on the offside, no run. Joe Root had to go off earlier, just had an over off as he went to field a ball in the covers and seemed to twist his knee as he was just going for that ball, and he's come back on, seems fine. And he's guiding the team at the moment. Rohit Sharma solidly forward, pushing out on the offside. Of course, Joe Root is looking for win number 26. Sorry, 27 as England captain. He's on 26, equalled Michael Vaughan. Actually, Virat Kohli is looking for a win that would take him past MS Dhoni as captain. This from Leach. He's round about leg stump. Rohit glances into the leg side. Dan Lawrence will field single taken, 91 for 3.
Well, he's lost his last 4, hasn't he? As captain, Virat Kohli. So there's a little bit of pressure on Virat Kohli, not just as a batsman to get the runs for India, to put them in good positions, but his captaincy as well, because they keep losing when he's captain at this moment in time.
It's a strange thing. He might be the king of India at the moment, but yeah, if that record continues, wow. Seems incredible to think. Now England are going to go back to the 2 slips option. Rory Burns has gone in at second slip with the helmet. In fact, no, they're now going to go, 2 and a gully. I think is Ollie Pope going to go in there? No, they've gone for 2 slips, and they're going to... So Ollie Pope's gone into second slip, and Burns is going to a backward point. There's a man on the drive on the offside, catching. That one's hurrying on to Rahane from Jack Leach. He pushes back down the pitch, no run. 8 minutes or so to lunch. And that is the end of the over. So a couple more. 91 for 3. It's TalkSport and TalkSport 2 with you. Matt Pryor and Darren Gough with myself, Andrew McKenna, at the moment, as England enjoy their morning's work, Matt.
Well, they're feeling better about themselves now, that is for sure, with getting those 2 wickets, 3 wickets down now. I think they'll still be a little bit annoyed that there's 91 on the board, but you can pull it back. Best way to slow this run rate is take wicket. To be fair, there's plenty of assistance from this pitch. Fifth ball of the morning, Gareth Batty told me. 5th ball of the morning was the first puff of dust we saw.
And we've seen a few
since. Yeah, exactly. Moeen Ali to start the new over. Rohit plays it to short third man, and there's no run. He remains 66 from 68. It stands out like a beacon, his innings at the moment. 91 for 3 in the 24th over, and Rohit's got 66 from 68. Slip in place, but Rohit is hitting this hard through mid-wicket. He gets down and reaches out for this one, puts it through mid-wicket. It's another glorious shot. He's basically playing a different game to everyone else at the moment. 70 from 69 balls out of 95 for 3.
Well, he's just not letting the off-spinner settle. He's going at over 5 and over Moeen Ali. He's picked up the big wicket, though, of Virat Kohli, and he hasn't played for a while, and he's just not letting him settle. He's always looking to be positive, always looking to score.
14 fours and a 6 already as Rohit goes into the offside on this occasion. England have a cover sweeper out, which is Dan Lawrence, and he will field that. It is just a single. Rohit goes to 71, 96 for 3.
And even in the first Test match, what we saw was both teams actually scoring well against the spin. When you looked at India's spinners, they were no different. There was only really Ashwin that had any sort of control. So India's spinners went for too many in the last Test, and England's spinners did. But it didn't matter for England because they won the game.
3 around the bat for Rahane as Moeen goes in, and he's working this one. Leg side, Dan Lawrence will field, and there is no run. Rahane in the first Test, caught by Root off Bess off of that full toss for a single in the first innings, and then the second bowled by James Anderson. Second ball, of course, he survived the LBW shout the ball before. This occasion Rahane is padding up, bat held way above his head just to make sure that there's going to be no ricochet or anything like that. So far outside of off stump and wasn't threatening the stump, so he just kicks it away. And here's Ben Foakes offering encouragement to Moeen in as wicket-keeper, with England coming forward on this occasion with Rahane no run. Yeah, with Jos Buttler back at home. Maybe he's up and listening this morning. Good morning to you, Jos, if you are. End of the over. 96 for 3 are India after 24 overs.
I'd have my money on him being asleep.
He'll be throwing his heads out. Me too.
But I tell you what, Ben Folkes will be loving this. For a wicketkeeper to come in on a surface like that, you know, in India, usually you're thinking, oh my goodness, right, it could be really flat. Not many balls come through to you. But up to the stumps, ball bouncing, turning, the odd one keeping low. You feel like you're in the game the whole time. It's perfect for Ben Folkes, and he's such an outstanding wicketkeeper as well. He'll be loving it.
Absolutely, he'll be loving it. This is what the people are talking about. He goes to Sri Lanka to keep wicket, he goes to India, standing up to the wicket nearly all day. Your best glove man, and that's why he's in the side. That, and obviously Jos Buttler having a little rest.
So what looks like being the last over before lunch will be bowled by Jack Leach. Left arm around the wicket. Rohit Sharma has nothing to do with this one. Of course, if Leach hurries through on this one, they might squeeze in another one. It's the 25th of the morning after India won the toss, decided to bat. And Jack Leach in his 9th over. He's got 1 for 19 so far. Getting Pujara caught by Stokes at slip. And Leach around the wicket. In he comes. Rohit Sharma takes a step just to meet that one more comfortably. Pushes out on the offside. No run.
It's good to get some overs in Jack Leach on that first morning. He's bowled pretty well. Good pace. Direct. That's what Gareth Pat said. He's been direct.
He's in around the wicket past the umpire, and that is a clip down the ground by Rohit Sharma with the minimum of fuss. It looked like he was pushing it to mid-on for a single. It's raced away for 4. The 100 is up for India before lunch on day 1, halfway through the 25th over. 100 for 3, but Rohit Sharma has 3/4 of those. He's 75 from 73 balls.
Another excellent shot, wasn't it? A really full ball from Jack Leach, just onto Rohit Sharma, right underneath his nose, and just helping it on its way straight past the bowler, and it run away. As we've seen, this outfield here in Chennai is normally quite quick.
Leach in. That one's got a bit more zip on it, a bit more direct, as Gareth calls it, and there is no run as it's pushed out on the offside. The outfield starting this match once again looking lush. We saw it in the first test as the bare patches started to appear, as the heat baked it as we went through that first game, but he's starting lush green, and it just absolutely raced away from that shot from Rohit Sharma. This occasion he's pushing forward back down the pitch, and it goes back to Jack Leach for no run. 5 balls of the over gone. We've still got a couple of minutes to go, so looks like we will get another one after this. And Rohit Sharma is something of a masterclass at the moment. Leach then for the final time, and it's left alone, and that wasn't far away from the off stump. It goes through to Ben Folkes. It didn't really turn as it went on, but Rohit Sharma is reading it well enough to leave. 25 gone, India 100 for 3. Jared.
Usually Rohit Sharma just comes down and smacks everything over long on for 4 and 6 off the spinners. He's been sweeping a lot. He's up to 10% of his shots have been sweeps today. He's hit 3 fours, I think, and 1 single when he paddled one earlier. Is there anything about the pitch, Matty, that might mean that he's looking for the sweep more than he would normally drive? Is it just a sideways turn?
I think it will be the combination of the pitch, but also the line that the bowlers are trying to bowl, particularly the off spinner, Moeen Ali. The minute he's trying to, he's obviously trying to throw it outside, quite wide outside off stump. So it kind of allows you a free hit, really, when you sweep, because unless you miss it and it spins back, you get bowled. You can cover the line of the ball spinning back with your front leg, and make sure you get bat on it. The fields they set, there's not a catcher at 45, so if you get a top edge, it's still going to be safe. So really, it's almost one of the safest shots you can play on a pitch that is turning like this, with the bowler bowling that wide.
And they also started without a sweep man, didn't they? So it was a free hit for him. He felt as though it were a free hit. If they bowled that line Matt's just talked about, they could sweep with no real worry about getting out.
Well, in England, the last over before lunch in the Test match would quite often be chucked to a spinner to have a go. The reverse, of course, in India. And Ollie Stone is going to be back for 1 over before the break. Oh, that's almost a chance as it goes through leg slip, leg gully, as Stone goes in, and there was some good pace on that, and it's been clipped by Rahane. Ollie Pope has gone full length, Superman style, away to his right hand side and didn't get a finger on it. But Rahane was clipping this, and I tell you what, he's not far away from that looking at the replay.
Oh.
That is bowling to a plan and then some.
Well, again, they got the fielder in place again. Rahane got a lot of short balls in Australia, and it's a definite plan. You can see the delight on Joe Root's face because he knew that was the plan, to get him out early on, swinging into him, clipping it off his leg with a fielder in place, just went to his right.
Well, that would have been dream stuff for Ollie Stone. He's not had a bad morning at all. He's got 1 for 9 so far. He's now going to be bowling to Rohit Sharma. Right arm over the wicket, finds the outside edge. It's a big chunk of outside edge, and it will go straight to ground and roll through the vacant gap around about 4th slip, and will go down for a boundary that takes Rohit to 79, 105 for 3.
Well, that's interesting. That I'd like to see a replay on that, because again, that looked like another one that just kept slightly low. Ollie Stone committed at the crease, played across it a little bit. Was there a touch of reverse? We'll have to keep his eye on that as well. But that's the second one that's flown away through that third man area, and the coach, as we're looking on now, not too happy about that.
Apologies to all lip readers watching the TV coverage. 2 slips and a gully in place. A Stone goes in, and that's a short ball. Rohit's going to pull that one away. There is a man out on the boundary who is Sibley, so it is just a single. But at the moment, when they pitch it up England, they are finding good reward. Right, gets down to the non-strikers and looks at the bottom of the bat as if he's concerned. He's got 80 not out from 78 deliveries, 13 fours and a 6. He will not want to have to change that particular piece of willow.
Not at all, but India have always liked, haven't they, a batsman at the top of the order that can get them off to a flyer. If you go back to Sehwag's period in the Indian side, how difficult he was to bowl to, and he liked to get off to that fast, powerful start. Rohit Sharma is exactly the same.
Stone goes in, Rahane solidly in behind this one from the crease, no run. 2 balls then to lunch. What an incredible couple of hours it's been. Hopefully you've been with us since at 4 o'clock this morning. Set the alarm nice and early to get your Saturday underway. What a day of sport it's going to be. Plenty of football coming your way later on TalkSport and TalkSport 2. The game's at 12:30, 3 o'clock, and then at 5:30 as well. There's also a game at Brighton Aston Villa at 8 o'clock this evening. In goes Ollie Stone. Seems to nip back a little bit on Rahane there. He takes his bottom hand off. Half an appeal for LBW, but nothing on that occasion.
Well, we're at that stage of the game, aren't we, in the first test. I think as the game won, it started to reverse quicker. But I think what we're seeing now definitely is, looking at the screen there, is it's reversing already with 25 overs on day 1 of a test match. And I think as the game goes on and the pitch gets drier and the outfield gets drier, I think we'll see it reverse quicker. So we could be seeing it doing it from 15, 16 overs. But there's a definite difference here. So much so, but the captain now is going to bring a change about. He's going to put looks like it could be a short leg in place in case he gets one to reverse back into the right-hander. You get it trapped in between bat and pad, and it loops up to that fielder. He's got a leg slip, and he's got a leg gully. So it's an interesting field set for this last ball.
In goes Stone. It's a short ball. It's an absolute beauty, and Rahane has to jag his head back out of the way of that one. Yes, England had a leg slip, a leg gully, and then a short square leg, obviously just in front of square, because otherwise it would have been a no ball. But that is the end of the over, and that is lunch on day 1 of the second test match. And it's been 26 overs where we've had incredible action throughout. At the break then, 106 for 3. Rohit Sharma 80 not out from 78 balls faced. Ajinkya Rahane 5 not out from 12 balls faced. The men to go: Shubman Gill, LBW to Ollie Stone for a 3rd ball duck. Chiteshwar Pujara caught by Stokes at slip off the bowling of Jack Leach for 21. And Virat Kohli in total disbelief that Moeen Ali could have ripped a ball to take the bail between off and middle stump for a 5th ball duck after he ripped it out of the dust already. Virat Kohli going, as I say, for a fifth ball duck, only his 11th duck in Test cricket for Virat Kohli. For the bowlers, Stuart Broad 4 overs, 1 maiden, 0 for 21. Ollie Stone 5 overs, 2 maidens, 1 for 14. Jack Leach 1 for 23 from 9 overs and 1 maiden. Ben Stokes 2 overs for 16. Moeen Ali 6 overs, 1 for 32.